No, I'm not live. I am live. Starting the song now.
Hi and welcome. My name is Nick Crawford and welcome to the HF&S Podcast, where we have three random guys' opinions that don't matter, just like NASCAR's drug policy. And that's according to Denny Hamlin. We've got a lot of material to cover today. It's our first episode. Woo woo! But first off, let's introduce each other, starting with Mr. Zachary Hall.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the first episode. My name is Zach Hall. I'm an avid race fan. I've been probably watching NASCAR since I'm about 5 years old. Always been a really big oval fan. Started racing iRacing. Kind of got me into other motorsports. Now I'm a pretty big F1 fan also. So that's pretty much my motorsports background. And hope you guys enjoyed the podcast. We got many more to come. Hope you enjoyed the first one, though. We could be a little bumpy, but you never know. We'll see how this goes. So.
All right, thanks, Zach. And now we go to Mr. Brian Johnson, or as everybody knows him, Byron Johnson.
Yeah, I guess over in Race to Freeze, iRacing fellows. Yeah, I've been watching NASCAR for basically all my life, for the most part. Zach got me interested in F1, what, about probably 3 weeks ago, maybe?
Yeah,
2 weeks ago, 3 weeks?
yeah.
So this season's going to be... Yeah.
He's a newbie. So is Nick.
Yeah.
But we'll
He made me watch a couple of F1 videos, like Senna versus Prost stuff, and then that really piqued my interest, and so now I'm really into it. All three of us are into iRacing pretty heavily. We probably about on average every other day, just about. So yeah. This first episode, this podcast. It's not how you start, it's how you finish, so.
Exactly. We're noobs to that, too.
That's what she said. Anyways.
No, that's the first one.
And finally, saving the best for last. My name is Nick Crawford.
Wow.
I am from Las Vegas, Nevada, Sin City. We don't got a lot of racing going on over here. Very few people here. But, I am into NASCAR. I've been into NASCAR since about maybe 2002, 2001. Pretty bad year to get into it, but we don't pick it. Of course, favorite driver is Dale Jr., but
Yeah, do it for Dale.
I got into iRacing around 2011. I know nothing about F1, and I'm all about NASCAR. So expect me to be very green when it comes to the F1 topic. But, this is our first episode.
We'll get him through it. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you for joining us. I hope you guys do enjoy this. Tell your friends, subscribe, like this video.
Yep.
Let's go ahead and just jump into our first topic of the day. How about that Daytona 500?
Wow.
What do you guys think about that? We've been waiting, 3 months now for NASCAR to come back, and it just Speed Weeks flew by.
Yeah,
it really did. It really did.
I was really excited for this season coming up, because we got the new Camaro coming, of course. I love that car.
We got three Chevy fans here.
Sorry. Sorry, guys.
We're going to be outnumbered.
We're not going to be biased. I'm not biased at all. I try to look at racing as clear as possible and understand from each shoe, but every person has their biases. Yeah, Brian. I mean, we all are biased, so it's. We'll try
exactly even that out.
I'll try to even it out with not being biased, but yeah, I've been really excited this year though, because last year I feel like the competition was a little bit lopsided, and I'm hoping competition steps up this year, and Chevrolet, and we can get a good fight between the Toyotas and Chevrolet. Maybe even Fords. I wouldn't doubt them either. They're always there. They got good cars, so
before you go too far into that,
excited, just excited about it.
We'll get to that later, but let's start with one of the bigger topics of that race. Was Austin Dillon's last lap pass dirty or clean?
Y'all can take the floor if y'all want.
Okay, so let's go ahead and watch the video. And This is the video of last lap, Daytona
Michael,
500.
I wanted to get your thoughts.
Yeah, Eric
By the way, Dylan only led the final lap in overtime and led only 2 laps in his first win.
But he's in the lead behind Austin
This is where he
Dillon.
pushes Almirola, taps him from the back out of the way. You heard him reference in his post.
And Austin Dillon goes for the move,
Well, Chris,
and it looks
ever
like he
since
goes
the
back
end of
and
the first
forth.
Stage, the
But
gloves have
let's
been
see
off
the
in this
video
race.
real quick
We've
and
seen
see
aggressive blocking
what-
from everybody on the track. The block, the spin.
Now, of
You saw
course,
the reaction from
I mean,
the
you
crew
can see,
of the 10 car.
you know,
Vince
he's
Welch is with the
trying to
driver.
block Austin Dillon, and he's doing
Well,
a pretty
final
good job. But I
result
think
will
the
say
reason
10th
he's
place, but you
getting
were
so
right
kind of
there at the
squirrely
finish. How did
and,
it
you know,
shake out
having to
there for you guys?
overcorrect all the time is because Austin Dillon is right up on his bumper. Those rear wheels can't be having the same traction that they're supposed to, which is why I think he's kind of all over the place. That's my take on it.
well, you gotta. I don't think he was touching him. It didn't look like he was touching him at all. Because
I think he was kind of.
I know he was right, like in the first part when he's getting up to him. He's not touching him.
Yeah.
When Eric starts to block, he's not touching him. But the
Yeah.
car gets squirrely anyways, and that happened a lot earlier in the
Yeah.
race. You saw Ricky Stenhouse go from the bottom to the top. I don't know how he saved that, but
Yeah.
it's basically the same thing.
Okay,
He
my
didn't
biggest
have-
thing is, man, this is NASCAR's fault more than anything. I don't like to put the drivers in fault of this because this is what you got is going to happen. I mean, you can't pass below the yellow line. Like, when a driver's blocking out front with these runs that are coming with this new package, and like when you have a restrictor plate, like if you block somebody and you have to lift, you're not going to pass them before the start finish line. So you pretty much lose. If Austin Dillon lifts there, he loses the race. In my opinion, that's the thing about this whole situation.
Yeah, because once you get into turn 3 and turn 4, if you're in the lead and you've got at least a car length and no one in second place has help, then
Yeah, it is going to be
whoever's in
hard to
first
pass
is
him.
going to win. So, yeah, I know why Austin wanted to get around him. Could he have done it differently? Probably not. It was just one of those.
Yeah, not
moments
the way
where
he was
it couldn't be
boxed in.
avoided. But it does suck to see someone get turned on the last lap, especially someone who doesn't usually win often or any.
Yeah. I was definitely I was a little disappointed. Like, even though like I said, I'm a big Chevy guy. I love Dylan Hart, love the 3-car, love Rich Childress Racing, love all about that. I'm not a big Ford fan, but I would have loved to seen actually Eric Almirola win this race. I feel like I've even told some of the guys, like I think I've told Nick and Brian this. I'm not sure if I've told y'all this, but I really think he's going to actually be really, really good this year. Like, I think he's got some talent.
I really hope
Oh
so.
yeah,
He's
he's got good equipment this year.
And
man.
I want to see him in this 10 car and see what he can do. And I really, if he would have won, what a way to start off. And like, I think he took it the best way you could possibly take it. I gotta like commend this guy
Definitely.
for like being a freaking man and not whining. Like,
He took a lot better than I would have.
Like, we should literally, everybody should give him an applause, like, because that was stand up stuff. Because literally, like, he took it very well. And Austin, and like the same thing for Austin Dillon, like, he was even, you could see he felt bad about it, but if I'm in his shoes,
he didn't feel too
I'm
bad.
not lifted. I know that. Well, I mean, he didn't like want to run him over, but I'm not lifting either. Like, I don't give a crap. Like,
So
with restricted plates, you can't lift, man. You can't do it.
especially in the Cup car, because
Yeah,
even
and
though the draft
you can't-
package is
Mhm.
better for sucking up, you stall out.
You stall out. Yep. That's exactly right.
Except for Joey Logano.
So,
Apparently, he just gets random boost.
So what do y'all say? You say it's dirty. Y'all say it's. I say so.
I think it's a
situation that happens
product of
with
the
race.
situation.
Yes, exactly. The same shoe.
From what you say, okay, Brian, what you got?
How do you feel, Brian?
I mean, it's dirty.
Oh,
dirty.
From
Brian's
Eric
going dirty,
Almirola's
so-
point of view, it's dirty. Austin
Yeah.
Dillon knew exactly what he was doing. It was dirty. You can, yeah, I get it. You can't, if he did let up, if he did tap on the brakes, there's a pretty good chance he wouldn't have been able to get around him. But the other thing you got to think about is that there was that inside line that could have gotten a run out. Eric Almirola, Eric Almirola go down to the inside line, and then Austin Dillon get a nice run. He can't come back up, and he passes him anyway. But
Yeah.
there's there's ways to pass people without wrecking them.
Yeah.
Like, you can move them out of the way, get them into the wall, but at least have them finish, not just,
Destroy them.
At least let the guy get a top 10.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Even though there weren't many more than 10 cars out on the field anyway, because of the 6-minute repair rule, which I'm not a fan of either. But
Definitely. Yeah.
But yeah, I think it's dirty. He knew exactly what he was doing.
I respect that.
Okay, so Zach, you said that this was a product of the new draft package with the runs they're getting. So that leads into our next topic. What are your thoughts on the new restrictor plate rules package for, obviously, the plate tracks? What do you think about those?
I personally love them. I mean, like, I think that was the wrecks were a product of that. I don't love wrecks. I'm not a guy who's like, I don't want to go to a race and watch a bunch of wrecks. Like, I love green flag racing, so I'm not an advocate for wrecks. I know there's a lot of people who are advocates for wrecks. Personally, I don't feel like they're true race fans, in my opinion. Sorry if anybody is, but
I know a few.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you're talking about multi-million-dollar cars being
exactly
just completely obliterated, and
it's not even that.
That's going to make teams struggle.
It's
when you have to constantly repair.
It's like you going out into your daily driver and someone saying, "I hope that guy gets in a wreck," and even though NASCAR stock cars are like one of the safest forms of vehicles that race, you can still get hurt. We've seen that.
Yeah, Kyle Busch is a prime example.
Last year.
Eric Almirola.
Now let's talk about what led into this, or what is all involved in this draft package change. Now, first, we have the no rear ride height regulation.
It's
and
fantastic.
You can look at the pictures. 2017, you got a good amount. It looks like maybe 3 to 5 inches off the ground for the rear quarter panel. But if you look at 2018, that thing is basically just sucked to the ground.
Yeah, it's pretty flush. I think on that picture right there, that 6 car, I think the side skirt's actually kind of pushed out a little bit.
That's probably from bottoming out too, if anything.
Yeah. So they're running that rear so low that when they come up on the banking, it's kind of dragging that up a little bit, which I feel like is a good thing because it gets the air around the rear tire. But
and then now you got the single engine rule again. They brought that back. Now you only get 1 engine per race. If you blow it up, you start in the back. No matter if it's in practice before qualifying or after, doesn't matter. You go to the back. And
single engine, I wasn't quite clear on that. So
you start 1 engine.
So you can. So you have one. So if you blow it up, can you replace it?
Yeah, you can replace it.
It's just, but you have to start the
you
back.
Can't just be. You can't just swap engines whenever you want.
No, it hadn't always been like that.
It was after qualifying.
Daytona 500. They would change engines after the duels.
So it's a single engine.
Mm-hmm.
And then you got 1 gear rule for each race.
That's good.
And I don't know if that meant for you only get 1 gear and that's what you're stuck with, or if everybody has the same gear.
Everybody has the same gear.
Okay, so
they mandate your rear end ratio.
Okay,
and is that in
the plate tracks,
in the transmission itself and the differential?
Yes,
I think it's just rear gear.
I know it's rear end ratio. That's all I know is they mandate ratio.
Yeah. So everybody's running the same.
Everybody has to run the same. Yep.
And then another thing that I saw was really interesting, never knew about, is they would manipulate the fans in the corners near the wheels to change the aerodynamic effect on the car. And I was like, what? That's new. I've never heard that. So they've limited.
Wait till we get to our F1 session.
Yeah. And then restrictor plate is the same as last year, 7/8 of an inch, and the rear spoiler is also the same. So it looks like they just changed the rear height.
Yeah.
And they limited everybody more equal. It seems like they wanted everybody more equal.
Definitely.
Yeah, which I think was a product of Toyota dominating and Ford being dominant at the plate tracks, which as we saw in the Daytona 500, they still are because they don't produce as much downforce and
they produce less downforce, but that means less drag. But they can also try to get they can stick more of their rear spoiler out in the air because they're not generating that same amount probably Toyota and Chevrolet are generating now with their bodies. That they're definitely I guarantee their drag is like their drag to drag efficiency. I think that's what it's called. F1 guys call it.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure that the Chevrolets and Toyotas produce a lot more drag, and that's why they're having to really. If you notice, those guys really skew their car, like in qualifying especially.
Oh yeah,
they're really skewed out, trying to get that spoiler out there, trying to make sure they ain't got nothing dragging back there to slow them down and catch like a parachute back there.
Oh yeah, like
the Fords, I feel like
car.
they can get more of that spoiler in the air. I mean, which a lot of people don't understand is like you're thinking the spoiler probably generates most of your downforce. Most of the downforce in these cars is generated under the car, so.
No, but when you think about it,
under the body, how I don't know how the Ford looks under body because like a lot of these teams manipulate stuff. So
we need to flip one over. Wait till Talladega.
Yeah,
but
I mean,
when you think about
Penske's
it, now that the rear end is out of the air a lot, and like you don't got the spoiler in the air, could that be a product of the wiggly cars when they go to block?
Oh, definitely,
yes.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So
the rear end is not as stable as it used to be.
Yeah.
That could also be a product of
you're thinking about drafting here. When you're drafting, you're in the pocket of air. When you're in that pocket of air, you lose your downforce.
Well, what we saw a lot was the leaders. Anyone leading a pack.
Well, that's the air coming off the nose too. That's air coming off the nose. That's pushing them.
Okay.
I know it creates like a high pressure when you get to like you get a nose of a car really close to the rear of the other car because the way the car
that's the spring.
The front, of course.
It's
and
like the spring.
It actually lifts the car up. Yep, exactly like a spring. Mm-hmm. And with the runs being more powerful because of the lower ride heights can get the car lower to the ground, meaning there's less drag. You see how if you see in this 2017 picture in the 88, you can see how the side skirt it's not all the way. It's not sealed. In the rear it's a good couple 3 or 4 more inches above that, and 3 or 4 inches is a lot when you're talking about ride heights here. And
especially some of that is because it looks like he's in a tri-oval there, so he's not at full bank.
That is very true, Brian. Like they did seal these cars off, but also they're definitely sealing them off better now without having the rears up as high. So.
Yeah, because now the whole car is sealed to the ground.
They were definitely going faster. That was the biggest thing I noticed is they were going faster. Like the cars were going faster,
3-4 miles an hour,
more energy. Like it was pretty crazy stuff. I enjoyed the package personally, but still think it needs some tweaks to.
Of course.
I like handling being good, but like these like blocks need to be tweaked or something. I don't know, like. Especially
I got something that'll fix everything.
I know
fix all that.
Yeah,
you want to know what it is?
What is it, Brian?
Shirt put off?
Huh?
No,
that'd make it worse. No,
then we'll definitely see the bottom of the car.
You'd have people dying.
Yeah, no.
But no, the rear spoiler, you're allowed to change the degrees of it. That way, everybody's running different degrees. Everybody's going to be able to get different runs off of different cars. That's going to fix it.
With all the cars so close together, though. What if you got a car that gets a really good run versus a car that's really sluggish, and then he runs into the back of him, and then it's just randomized throughout the field? Or do you think everybody's just going to find the same degree and just it's going to be the same?
Well, and it's going to depend on whether you're running a Chevy, Toyota, or Ford.
Yeah, the manufacturer's going to be the most.
But there is going to be kind of like this optimal range that everybody's going to run in, but it is going to be going that fast. 1/10 of a degree is a lot. So I think that would make it more competitive. That would make each car a bit more of its own thing as far as how efficient it is with the aerodynamics, how much downforce it generates, how the handling is. But I think, back before the COT days, you could adjust that rear spoiler degree. And I think that's what kind of made plate racing really good back then.
Yeah.
And that's what they need to go back to. And I think you would see better plate races.
I'm starting to think it's just plate racing in general is like it
goes one way or the other.
Yeah, man.
You got to satisfy the fans, and then you got to keep drivers safe. Sometimes you can't do both.
It's just those races are they're so wild. They're getting to almost become a joke. Like What was the stat you told me earlier, Nick, about the cars wrecking?
Oh, out of the, what is it,
It was like
169
56
cars?
56%
It
or something like
was
that?
99 out of the 169 cars brought into Speed Weeks total. That's every team. 99 of them were wrecked. That's 59%.
So that's Monster Energy, Xfinity, Arca, Truck, all of that.
Yeah, that's all those cars. Yep. And I mean, y'all
It's a
know
lot of
how
money.
do y'all watch the Xfinity race this past weekend, right?
I just watched the end.
I missed
it had
that one.
5
Yeah, I missed
overtimes.
Yep, 5 overtime. Yep.
And
Great.
before that, I ain't gonna. Okay, I like the Xfinity package more than I like the Cup package, though.
Is
I'm
it?
gonna tell you that now.
What did they change? Was it the ventilation front end?
Yeah, something. Yeah, with that, because man, them things you can generate some runs like okay. And another thing, I don't know if y'all saw the call about Elliott Sadler, where he got the penalty for bump drafting, locking bumpers with Chase Elliott. They penalized Elliott Sadler, the pusher, and they penalized Chase Elliott, the person who was getting the push. So they both had to come in and
penalize
penalty.
you? It's just like murder.
Control that.
Right?
He's just like murder. He was there.
Well, I think it's done for locking bumpers anyway. But
Yeah, that's a bad rule, but that's
I understand
also
why
bad.
they have it, but
Nobody likes tandem drafting.
Yeah, nobody likes
it's
it, but
not
guess
even
what?
that. But
Like, no, the thing is, the new stuff they've added to the cars, it's actually slower to tandem draft now. So, like, they need to, like, get rid of that rule. Like, that's the rule that NASCAR really needs to get rid of.
so
for the
you're
next
getting
play.
penalized in real time,
And you're getting slow,
and you get
it's slowing
penalized
you down.
after.
Yeah.
Wait, what are they penalizing?
You have
It's
to
like probably
do a
a-
drive-through.
a
It's a drive-through. Yeah, it's a drive-through.
And you still finish.
Okay.
And no, they had a
So-
caution come out and got him back around. That's the reason why they got lucky. But
Okay, so with all of that draft package and all that's happened in this Daytona 500, what are your final thoughts on the Great American Race? Let's see,
all
you
I
got
can say, it was unexpected and wild. Like, I know me and you, Nick, watched it together, and me and you, I don't
Brian
think,
wakes
Yeah, I
yeah.
watched the last 10 laps.
Hey, he
Brian
lost
woke
less
up
than
with
guys.
like 30 minutes left in the race.
He had a sleepy day, guys. It's all right. But me and Nick watched it together, and all I can say is, you never knew what was going to happen. Really, like, it was unexpected. Like, the Daytona 500 has almost become like a attrition race, like survive. Like, it's like a survival race in my opinion now. So
Oh, yeah, every play
it's
race.
been wild.
Really, every race is like that.
Every
but-
play
Yeah.
race has been, but this year just seemed even more like it. Just like all the big guys were taken out for sure.
How
Oh,
many
yeah.
tires blew on their own? Like,
None.
Debris.
None.
Of, so no. Okay. All right. Goodyear stepped up their
No,
game.
no. Was Kyle Busch's not? What was his? Why did
Kyle
his
Busch,
blow?
oh, because Kyle Busch, nobody likes Kyle Busch, that's why.
Because Joe
But
excessive
let's look at the
damage.
topics of this Daytona
Yeah.
500. So
Yeah.
we got Bubba Wallace finishing second.
Good for
out of
him.
nowhere. We got the veterans
Bubba.
having stage racing. Is that even a thing anymore? And then the
Get rid of
overtime
it.
rule. Do we like it? Do we hate it?
Keep it.
And just racing overall. So
Still terrible.
Brian had an answer for everyone, like short and simple. Let's,
no,
let's-
Bubba Wallace
let's
is
talk
really
about the
good.
Bubba Wallace, yeah.
Yeah, Bubba Wallace is. It's like you and I were talking the other night, Zach. Is that he's had this a long time coming. He should have been in
Yeah.
Cup, a year ago, 2 years ago. Finally got his chance last year, filling in for Eric Almirola in the 43 for 4 races, starting out at Pocono. Where
it's
he
almost the
passed
same
out.
as Alex Bowman.
Yeah, very similar. Yeah.
similar.
Well, and
similar
if
deals.
I mean, this isn't the first time that you see drivers get full-time rides after they fell.
Oh
out or
yeah,
something.
Jamie
Jamie McMurray.
Yep.
Yeah. So
Pretty
it's
close.
not unheard of, but
Yep.
Bubba
Yep,
Wallace.
started him on, yep.
Yeah. Oh yeah. But
Yeah, he
Bubba
won.
Wallace, he's very different.
I love him.
I
I
feel
love his attitude.
Mhm.
he's half African American, which kind of brings in something that
Diversity.
NASCAR really hasn't had a whole lot of.
In a
Like
while.
they've tasted it when it comes to different
Yeah.
genders, and there's been different races and cultures in NASCAR, but it hasn't.
I'm gonna let you
They-
know this. From the races I went through the last 5 years, like there might be a stereotype that NASCAR is a white sport, but there's a lot of African American people who definitely go to NASCAR races. I think this is gonna be like, I really hope this helps it grow in their community.
Yeah, it's gonna be a good step.
I think it's gonna be really cool, and like I love Bubba. I think he's the perfect person for it, man. Like he's a great guy, and
he's always pushing himself.
He's deserved it. Yeah, and I like how he's emotional too. He lets it out, it's really good. I'm really happy. I was stoked. I really wanted him to win. I wanted him to win so bad, but he's gonna get him one. I guarantee he's gonna get him one.
Oh yeah, he's not gonna be like Chase Elliott.
You even got the Hispanic culture too with Daniel Suarez.
Yeah,
exactly.
Yeah.
He's not a bad racer either.
Exactly.
That guy has quick hands.
Yeah,
he
I
does.
think he would fit better on a different team though. I feel like the team he's on right now does not fit him very well. Oh, what's up, Darwin? Shout out to Darwin in the chat. Go to school with him.
Shout out.
School
nice.
guy.
Oh yeah.
Okay, let's move on. We got veterans having troubles. We got Jimmy Johnson out. Kevin Harvick. He's usually there at the end of these plate races.
Yeah.
Who else was out? All these people having troubles.
Brad Keselowski, the favorite of the race, Brad Keselowski, of course.
I told you, Chase and Brad would take each other out. I already predicted that.
I'm sitting here watching Daytona 500 guys, and I'm like, they're leaving the pits. I'm like, Nick, I really think Chase and Brad are really gonna battle for this one. I think they got two best cars. He's like, nah, they're gonna wreck each other. I ain't gonna lie, that was like right before they wrecked each other, guys. And he had some other parts of the race that he called, and I was like, man, we need to go gamble, Nick. Let's go gambling, dude. Like, live in Las Vegas.
But you got everyone. Ricky Stenhouse was involved in an accident. Kurt Busch,
really,
Kyle Busch,
names.
tires out.
The big names. The only big name that wasn't taken out is personally Denny Hamlin. He's like your biggest driver. What a shame. Yeah.
He had Clint Boyer 15.
It's probably because he was on Adderall.
Was Clint Boyer taken out?
He was 15th. He finished 15th. He was running.
Okay.
He had damage. Yeah.
He had damage. So,
yeah, he definitely had that. Paul Menard was a surprise up there.
That's true. Yeah, Paul Menard. He had a good car. He had a really good
and
car.
And Joey Logano 4th, and that's about the notable driver.
I think the reason
dominating the race and then getting
I feel bad for him.
Yeah,
he came back with 7th, so he's okay. Kurt Busch got the worst of that though.
Yeah.
But I think the reason the veterans had all those troubles is because they had troubles in the duels. Like Jimmy Johnson, he wouldn't have been taken out in the 500 if he didn't get taken out in the duels and started at the back. So
he had seven times he's been in a row and wrecked in the clash. Like Jimmy Johnson he goes to plate tracks and he's like, I'm gonna get wrecked today. Like it's just.
I just don't think these veterans are ready for this rookie movement.
Yeah,
they're
it's a lot
so
more
energetic. They're willing to take these moves because they got they're durable. These veterans are not
balls of steel.
You see Dale Jr. He's one of the best plate racers back in the day, and he gets in this wreck at Michigan. Looks like nothing,
right?
Just a normal wreck, and he got a concussion that basically ends his career.
Yeah.
Well, and that's because of his history of concussions. The first concussion you get is going to be the hardest one you get. The second one's going to be easier getting than the first, third. So every time you get a concussion, the next one you get is a lot easier.
But that's what comes with this kind of sport,
Yeah.
You're going to get
Which
injuries.
is why you have all of the head restraints and the Hans device and in F1 they have the removable headrest and yeah. But I think the reason veterans are having all these problems now is because of the new generation of cars. So the rookies now, or the young drivers now, grew up with the new generation of cars, whereas the veterans, they had to make that switch. Whereas the young guys, they've been they're
starting fresh on that.
For the most part, they may have had a switch early in their career when they were like 12, 13, 14. So they have a lot more experience with these newer cars than the older drivers have, which is I think their the biggest issue with those right now. Yeah.
Well, now let's talk about Daytona 500 from a fan's perspective. How many people watched it from home? Because everyone was saying, "Oh, it's a sold out crowd today in the stands." But from what the
There's less
facts say,
stands.
yeah, they probably reduced the amount of stands to make sure it was sold out. I'm not saying any conspiracies or anything, but yeah, let's talk about the Daytona 500 TV ratings. Apparently, compared to last year's TV ratings, it dropped about 23%.
Yep.
I don't know about you, but that's a lot.
Well, they didn't advertise as much as they did last year.
No, they didn't. Well, I don't
Last year
want
they
to
advertised a
anyways.
lot.
So
And then,
if you read right here, it says the ratings for the race were won by, or the ratings were, the way they do it is like averaged a 5.1 in mere markets with 11 share, and shares.
The hell does
is
that
like
mean?
The percent share. The share estimates the percentage of televisions that are used to tune into a specific channel. So like,
What?
yeah, dude, it's weird numbers. So like these numbers, like TV numbers, that's what I want to like point out there about right here is like TV numbers are weird, and
So
23% can
5.1
mean like barely anything, and like it's kind of one of those things that people just have nothing to talk about and they want to talk about.
5.1 in
So why
meter
is it on
markets
here,
with an
Zach?
11 share. It has 6.6 overnight rating with a 15 share. What?
Yeah,
What is
that exactly. Like, what does
what
that
it's
even
basically
mean?
saying is that
5.1?
this is the percentage of people watching this channel specifically.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, probably.
So
But what the like?
all we
what-
know is that it's lower than last year, and it's about 23%.
And if you
So-
notice, it's less than half of what NBC pulled a dozen years ago. But let me put this out there too, by the way, guys. The NBC broadcast this is talking about, I read from this US Today article, is it's when the Winter Olympics was right before the Daytona 500. Like they were at the Winter Olympics, and then boom, they transitioned to Daytona 500.
Oh, so they had
NBC.
everybody.
Oh,
So
yeah,
a
so
lot of
they
people
already-
transitioned already into it. So a lot. That's another thing is the Winter
Turned
Olympics
it on,
are going
expected
on.
watching
You gotta
the
think about
Olympics.
this. Fox isn't doing the Olympics. NBC is. So
You got all those
So,
people
yeah,
watching.
people
a
watching
lot
the
of people watching the
yeah.
Olympics.
That's pretty bad
When it's
timing.
different, if it was NBC, I guarantee the ratings would be up because they would do it. They would
People tune
time it
in.
out to where the Winter Olympics people would be watching the Winter Olympics, and boom, Daytona 500 comes on. So
What kind of Olympics is this?
This is the race car Olympics.
So
How far
I
can you fling a
I
car
think it's
into
just
the-
a coincidence, personally. That's my opinion
Cross country driving.
about the whole thing. Like I think more people are going to races now than the last few years.
Oh, yeah, I'd hope so because they've had problems.
It's really cheap. It's really cheap, dude. So,
It's a lot. Yeah, it's a lot cheaper than it used to be.
I think it's even cheaper in Vegas too. But you know,
it's
it's
that's
hot as
crazy.
balls out there, even in March.
Exactly.
So
yeah. So what do y'all feel? I feel it's a coincidence.
Yeah, it's a coincidence.
yeah, from what you're saying, it's a coincidence.
And
It's,
again, I would have to
A lot of factors in
because
TV ratings.
and they did advertise a whole lot last year because there's Monster Energy's first year, so they advertised so much, and then this year they didn't. So I would actually like to see the
think about
comparisons
this.
between this year and 2 years ago.
What did you watch it on, Nick? On YouTube, right?
YouTube. Yep.
Exactly.
He
So,
watched
like,
it illegally.
Well, I mean, whatever.
It's illegal.
It's I mean, kind of, but it's not him. He's not watching it. The person
Well,
streaming it is
exactly.
illegal.
But
But still,
That's true,
but
yeah,
I'm
it's
saying, like, think
illegal to
about all
stream
the
and not
other
watch it.
ways
Okay.
you can watch. Exactly. So
now, when another factor to put in is what was missing from this year's Daytona 500.
Cars at the end.
Okay,
A big
but everybody
name, a
watches
big
for
name.
that.
a big
A
name.
big name, Matt Kenseth. Just kidding. Dale
Most of the
Jr.
most of like the fan base's drivers, the biggest fan base of drivers.
What was he?
We're
What was
taking
he
out.
like? 25% of merchandise for the
Yeah.
entirety of NASCAR
He's-
last year.
I
a
guarantee you, if
gigantic
Dale
amount.
Jr. won the Daytona 500 instead of Austin Dillon, it would have been the biggest Daytona 500 in the last 10 years. So
Chris, I am not.
Well, think about this. Think
Nick is a
about
fugitive.
if an NFL player had the same amount of fan, like if an NFL player was as much as a fan favorite in the NFL is as compared to as much of a fan favorite as Dale Jr. is in NASCAR, I mean that guy would be just unstoppable.
Yeah.
Like he would generate millions and millions and millions for the NFL. And when he retired, the same thing would happen to the NFL. So, you've got Tony Stewart left, Jeff Gordon left, Matt Kenseth is gone, Carl Edwards left unannounced, Dale Jr. is now gone. So, and these younger guys,
they got to make a name.
Yeah, exactly. And it looks like right now that Chase Elliott, Kyle Larson, and Bubba Wallace are going to be the kind of like the three big guys.
Yeah, leading the pack on that whole situation.
And another thing you got to think about: when is Kurt Busch going to retire? When is Kevin Harvick going to retire?
Kurt
all these other
Jimmy Johnson.
Jimmy Johnson.
I feel like he thinks he's like too high up to retire right now. He wants to keep going.
Yeah,
but
I think he's still got it in him. So
NASCAR dropping ratings. What do they need? What can bring back ratings? Just like in the 1978 Daytona, we bring back controversy. Starting with Bubba Wallace and Denny Hamlin.
Yeah, true. This happened? Did help. This actually did help. So let's watch this video here, guys.
So
of course, that helps
close
ratings
in your first full-time ride for Richard Petty in the 43 to finish second in the Daytona 500.
Yeah, I got so many emotions going right now. Congrats to Austin. RCR Alliance 1-2. That's pretty good. I want to see the replay before I say anything stupid, but he might need to take some Adderall for that one. But all in all, a great day for our Click and Close Chevrolet Camaro Z01 team. Just an incredible experience for me to be able to be here for my first.
What do you see in here?
He says I cut his tire down. Looks like the same movie he pulled on Blaney at Martinsville. But hey, we edged him out. We beat him, so it's all good. But hey, we're Daytona 500. Put that aside. My nerves are shot up right now. The king comes in all mad at me and says, after all I've told you, what was the first rule that I told you to do? And I'm like, I don't know. I lost my breath. And he says, don't wreck the car. And so thank you to the king for keeping me young, keeping him young as well. But thank you to the king as well for giving me this opportunity, putting them second place, putting Click and Close in second place. We know how much stress this team has been through in the last.
Like I said earlier, Denny Hamlin is the worst bullshitter in NASCAR.
I think so. I think
he's terrible
jumps
at it.
into something.
Yeah.
He's one of those. He's like the Logan Paul of NASCAR. He'll do something.
Wow, that is a strong statement.
He'll do something, and then to save himself, he'll go apologize. There was a video I watched. It was on Instagram where it shows like him. He confronted Bubba Wallace after the interview, or something like seconds after, he said, and he went on a Twitter rant saying like, "This is why I'm pissed off. You don't just say that about someone, and you would be a fool not to be." Yeah,
must be a Trump supporter.
Oh my god.
Oh god.
Well, here's the thing. Denny Hamlin's gonna say that, you cut my tire down, that's why I ran you into the wall. Well, he did the same thing in Martinsville when he spun out Chase Elliott. He said that he got bumped into Chase Elliott, and that's why he spun him out. The next guy behind Denny Hamlin was 2 car lengths behind him, nowhere near him.
Mm-hmm.
Bullshit.
Denny Hamlin. Remember at Sonoma and Tony Stewart's last year when it was where he went into the corner and they're like, "How Tony catch you so fast?" He's like, "I don't know. He just got a really good run." When everybody knows he wheel hopped.
Yeah,
and he wouldn't admit to it. He won't ever admit his own mistakes. So that's why I, made that comparison. Yep. But,
Nick,
this brings up...
You killed Chris Watson. Or
Christopher
Waston.
If anybody's wondering, in the audio version of the podcast, we're talking to our chat on YouTube, but you can catch the live stream on YouTube, guys, by the way. Halford and Son is the channel.
Tuesday nights, 10 p.m.
Tuesday nights, 10 p.m.
Okay, enough of the plug.
Yeah. Plug.
But, this kind of move and reaction, it obviously brings up the question, same as Austin Dillon and Eric Almirola, who's the bad guy in this? Did Denny really cut down a tire? Is Denny the dirty driver?
Well, no, he didn't cut down a tire. The question
is, that's obvious, because
the question is the question is does Denny Hamlin have the right to squeeze him up into the wall like that?
No,
because Bubba Wallace did, kind of body slam him, but he would, I think it was
Watch every.
It may have been a mistake.
Watch the finish of the Xfinity race. Watch the finish of every other race side by side at Daytona.
Yeah, I mean, if you're side by side,
everybody nowadays it goes down side drafts and touches each other to slow each other down.
But that still doesn't excuse the fact dirty racing versus dirty racing. If you're body slamming someone in a way, that's dirty racing because we've all done it in iRacing. You get body slammed, that car gets sent to the inside wall. What's to say the same thing can't happen?
Yep.
You know, we've seen Dale Jr. and Jeff Gordon come together at Bristol, and the tailpipes cut his rear tire, spun out Jeff Gordon.
Yep.
So all of that could have happened, and that's the risk you take when you do something like that. Bumping in the rear, the side, the front, who knows?
Definitely.
So,
I mean, my problem with it is that, you know, Denny Hamlin's going to run him up into the wall. And at that point, by the time they got to the wall, the race is over. You know, they had crossed the line. Granted, it's been over for 2 seconds. But you're talking about unnecessary contact.
And like you said earlier,
he does that to a team that needs the money. That, like, they're not, you know.
That's what I was going to bring up. Like Brian said earlier, that's multi-million-dollar cars and investments. And then you got the driver's life in the hands. That's why I'm saying dirty driving, you know, maybe at the slower tracks, Martinsville, maybe even Bristol. Bristol's still kind of fast. Richmond, that's a little more okay in
my opinion. You can move people out the way, but as soon as
there's a way to do it.
Send them into a wall. When you send them into a wall, that's when you intentionally. Whenever a person's spun out and her sent into a wall, that's not an accident. You know, that's you saying I'm gonna drive through this person. I mean, we saw Kenseth, D. Hamlin.
Under that logic, then Austin Dillon, that move would have been dirty.
Yeah, and that also brings up
because the way, but
you said it wasn't dirty though.
No, but hold on, you gotta take this out of. You do have to take this as a grain of salt. This is Daytona. They are traveling around the whole track at a high rate of speed. I'm talking about entering a corner that you gotta slow down for. Okay, that's what I was meaning by that though. Like Martinsville, of course. I'm mostly alluding to the Denny Hamlin, Chase Elliott situation.
But that also brings up. Remember,
I've seen
2009
plenty of Daytona or Martinsville races where a person got wrecked and moved out of the way. So,
you guys remember 2009 Talladega when Carl Edwards got put into the stands?
Yeah.
And then,
Brad,
what was it? Next year or the end of that year? It was Brad Keselowski at Atlanta.
Mm-hmm.
And Carl Edwards turned him at Atlanta, and
he didn't think that was going to happen.
No, he didn't expect the flip, but yeah, Brad Keselowski's car flipped over, and the roof of his car actually landed right in that corner where the pavement and the wall meets. And you know, you can look up a video on YouTube, and any of them are gonna. But any of the videos are going to include that radio transmission of Brad Keselowski saying, you know, I don't think I'm okay. And while I very much despise Brad Keselowski, I don't want to see a driver get hurt. So, you know, that's...
I'd rather see him lose versus getting hurt. That's not cool. I know
did he have it coming for him? Did he have that spin coming for him? Yeah.
No,
did he have...
No, he didn't. Because Brad Keselowski held his line according to NASCAR's rule. Because if you remember, who was it in the 0-1 car versus Tony Stewart at Talladega? He went under the yellow line, made the pass, and the win was stripped from him. So Brad held his line. Carl came down.
Well, that whole situation, too, was a lot deeper than that. Like, they had, like, probably 10 incidents, him and Carl Edwards. So
yeah.
That incident went real deep. That was way different than this. But I agree, though, about that whole situation. But What do y'all think? Like, is Bo also reacting? Is D. Hamlin a dirty driver because of what he did at Martinsville and
my opinion
cases?
Bubba Wallace, you know, he's been known to be full of emotion. But I think he's right on this incident. There's no way someone, you know, even if you cut a tire, I don't think you're going to drive someone up into the wall like that.
And not just hold it.
Not on the tri-oval, no.
And he held him on the wall. They should have gotten like a close-up of his gloves. That's probably why he wears black gloves, so you can't see it.
Yeah, Carl Edwards didn't get that memo.
else?
That's what Jeff Gordon told me. He said, "Why would you wear white gloves? Never wear white gloves."
So is Denny Hamlin a dirty driver? No, I don't think he's a dirty driver. I think he is whiny. He's very whiny, because Bubba Wallace, kind of hitting him in the door and then him driving him up into the wall. That's not being a dirty driver. That's just being a little whiny bitch. That's just saying, oh, you hit me, fuck you. And, just get over it.
Yeah.
Get over it.
I think he's a little jelly of other drivers sometimes.
But it's like we've been saying for the past couple of days. He's just upset at either his self, the car, the team, whatever it is, that he hasn't won a championship yet. He's just he's frustrated that he's not as successful as he maybe should be, but as he thought of himself as 10 years ago.
Okay, so one thing Bubba mentioned in there is he said, I think he's going to need some Adderall for this one.
Yeah.
Where does that come from? So apparently Denny Hamlin was asked about drug use. It was on a podcast called Pardon My Take. And the host asked Denny, he said, have you ever been drug tested? And he's like, yeah, all the time. And then the host asked him, how many drivers get tested, or, how many take Adderall? And he's like, a lot of them, is basically what he said. And, what does that mean for NASCAR's drug policy if they're not able to catch the people taking Adderall? So they wanted to clarify Denny's statement, is this really what you meant to say? So they asked him again, clarify your statement. He's like, I literally said that we get drug tested all the time. I joke around and gave them a number that had no fact and anything behind it. So what is Denny doing? Is he taking back his statement because, now he's making it seem like everybody can get away with taking drugs and Adderall with no problem? Because ESPN.com really wanted to know, do 70% of drivers really take Adderall? That obviously is not prescribed.
I mean, okay, well, here's the thing. Is that, as a NASCAR driver, you have a lot of money. You don't have as much money as a lot of Americans think, but you do have a lot of money. You have enough money to pay off a doctor to write you a prescription for Adderall. But that's prescribed, so if it comes up in a drug test, you can show, hey, I got a prescription for it. Okay. 70% of drivers, no. Was he trying to make a joke? Maybe. And then everybody took it seriously, and now he's just trying to cover himself. Maybe. But either way, good job on Bubba Wallace for bringing that back to him.
Yeah.
It's a good
I think he meant to say there's a 70% chance he's taking Adderall. Lol. But
I think there's a 100% chance that he's taking Adderall at some point.
Oh,
or 70%.
Let's get this clear too. If you guys don't know what Adderall is, it's an amphetamine.
Makes you high.
It don't make you high. It
increases concentration.
Concentration is pretty much.
It's for people with ADHD.
Yeah.
It retains focus.
Yeah. It's pretty much legal meth.
Something Zach needs to be on. What?
No, what? I'd never.
So, do you think?
I don't think NASCAR has an Adderall problem. There's been drivers caught for it. First of all, AJ Allmendinger. Drivers are drug tested all the time, supposedly. So
what was you had Shane Meal, who had wrecked Dale Jarrett and won. It was back in a Busch Series race.
Oh, I remember that. And he went in the window and pointed at him.
I went to the window and pointed at him, and then 4 weeks later, he was drug tested. And they found something in his system. I can't remember what it was. And then you had Jeremy Mayfield. He was on meth, wasn't he?
Meth.
Yeah, he was on meth. So.
I think that was speed, though. Oh, sorry about that, guys. Ow.
Yeah, Darwin, you need some of that in class, man.
Yeah, but it was probably some type of speed though, because it was amphetamine. But they said meth, of course.
But I kind of like what Brian's saying, because he says they got money to pay off people. What's to say they can't come up with a a prescription and say, "Oh yeah, I can have this." Now 70% of the NASCAR drivers have ADHD apparently.
Especially with these drivers being younger drivers, because our generation tends to rely on prescription medications more than generations of the past. At our age, you get 80 years old, you need to take 8 pills. But
is Adderall a banned substance though? Because even if you have a prescription, you can't take a banned substance.
From what?
Is it a banned substance? That's the thing.
It's like one of those gray areas. It seems like.
Yeah, if it was banned substance,
so like in NASCAR, like say if you
lived in Colorado and you had a medical marijuana license, you can't smoke marijuana because they test.
Well,
same thing in NFL, same thing basketball, same thing all sports around Colorado, in California now, and Las Vegas, and all the places that legalize marijuana.
It's like anything. It's like go ahead, smoke it, but if you want a job, you're not going to be able to.
Exactly. And the other thing you got to think about is, okay, so Denny Hamlin's claiming that 70% of NASCAR drivers take Adderall. So what about the other athletes?
Well, remember, you got to take it back because Denny, he just threw a number out there to make him happy.
Okay, about 70%.
It's more than zero.
If that was true,
let's say half. Let's say half.
I'm going to tell you right now, if it was 70%, if it was half, you'd know it.
We all know Chase Elliott is taking Xanax, though.
Yeah, he's passing out during the race. That's why he's always losing at the end, because he's always about to fall asleep.
All right. Well, let's move on from this topic. Now we have the first race of the season.
Yeah, we've killed this one.
We got the first race into the season. And
first podcast,
obviously what that means, we got to predict the final four off of the first race, which is a plate race.
Thanks.
So Zach is really enthusiastic about this. So Zach's gonna go first. Who do you think's gonna be in the final four at Homestead?
All right, I'm gonna bring this one to you live and clear right now. We'll tell you this. This is what's gonna happen, guys. You might as well go ahead and bet on this. In the final four, Chase Elliott. The 9 car will make the final four. All of us messed up, said 24. Wow. 9 car will be the final four. The 42 of Kyle Larson will be in the final four.
Okay.
The 78 of Martin Truex Jr. will make it to the final four.
So you're talking about final four repeat. Okay.
Advance of Kyle Busch in the final four.
You think so?
78, 18, 9, and 42. And my winner...
Before we move on...
We'll just get 4, yeah. We'll just get the 4 and we'll do winner.
Let me just point out that none of those are Ford drivers.
That is true.
None of those are Ford drivers.
I think Ford
They're 2
will have
Chevys
a
and 2
disappointing
Toyotas.
season.
No, so
I think Ford will be behind this season.
I am biased.
They're good at play tracks, but not at
I'll go ahead and predict with this a new body for a Ford next season because they'll be behind.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Okay, let me go next. I'm gonna say for Jen, Denny. Or no, just kidding, not Denny Hamlin. Joey Logano.
For those of you who don't know, Jen is Nick's fiance,
and her favorite driver, unfortunately, is Joey Logano. But he is pretty consistent. So I'm going Joey Logano. I'm going to go with, I would say Alex Bowman, but I don't think he's going to have the consistency. Definitely Kyle Larson. He's going to be on fire on the 1.5 miles.
Yep. So Kyle Larson, Joey Logano.
There's not a lot to pick from. I want to say Kevin Harvick, but I feel like this this is the year that leads to his retirement. I'm not putting Kevin.
Ooh.
I'll put Jimmy.
Okay.
48? And Patrick. Just kidding. I'm gonna pick a wild one here. I'm gonna Ryan Blaney.
Ryan Blaney. So we have a final four of Joey Logano,
Ford,
Ryan Blaney,
Ford,
Kyle Larson, and Jimmy Johnson.
So no Toyota.
So no Toyotas. We got 2 Fords being on 2 Toyotas.
They look slow this year. I don't think they led at all.
It's one race.
Hey, that's his prediction, Brian. Let his prediction
that's what we're supposed to base it off, right? One race. Denny Hamlin was the top and leading for Toyota, 22 laps.
Jeez. Oh, no, I'm not ready. But I guess I got to be. Final four, man. Definitely Chase Elliott. He's got the fire within him to win races this year. After he finished second like 7 times, something like that.
Yeah.
Like just an insane amount of being able to win at the end. So he's gonna do it this year. He better not do it before March 25th, though.
Martinsville's do it, guys.
So yeah, definitely Chase Elliott, Kyle Larson, because again, just a drive, the fire. He's just amazing driver. And now the other two. Can I choose Bubba Wallace?
You can choose whoever you want.
I don't want to choose Bubba Wallace.
I'll do him as a wild card.
I don't know.
You got Jimmy Johnson, Daniel Suarez, Eric Jones, Danica, Casey Kane, Chase Elliott, Brad Keselowski, Kevin Harvick, Ricky Stenhouse, Brendan Gunn,
Jimmy Johnson,
Benedetto, Kurt Busch,
William Byron.
William Byron. Yeah, that's Mark Thompson. I don't know. Jeffrey Earnhardt. I don't think he's gonna do another race.
The guy, the mass murderer.
Yeah, Martin Truex Jr., Alex
He's got that look in his eyes.
Jamie Mack, Clint Boyer, Trevor Bayne, David Gilliland, Eric Almirola.
Okay, actually, okay. No, the third pick is going to be Ryan Blaney. Okay. I really like that pick, Nick. I liked it.
I do like that pick. That was a good pick.
Yeah. So we got picks so far: Chase Elliott, Kyle Larson, and Ryan Blaney. All young guys. Yeah. All young guys. For the fourth, just to throw him in there, Bubba Wallace. Why not? He might surprise us. Okay. He's already finished second. So
now we gotta. Who's gonna win it all? Zach, out of your 4, who's gonna win it all?
Brett Homestead, 42 is taking the whole championship home this year.
See, that's what I was thinking too. I think this is his year. Last year was all about seconds. This year's about first. Brian?
Yeah, 42.
Ooh,
the way
unanimous decision.
The way he drives fits Homestead.
Yeah, I mean, he dominated Homestead last.
If he were in it, probably would have gotten it.
Yeah, because he even said in an interview later that he didn't race Kyle Busch and Truex not to get in their title fight.
Yeah, that was really cool. And he's a really relaxed driver, and I think that's what you need.
I think this
especially
is
for high pressure situations.
And he's a dirt racing boy.
And these cars are loose.
Yep.
Okay.
And I think that Camara's gonna be quick this year too. I'm hoping. So that's a unanimous decision. Wow. Interesting.
I didn't expect that.
Any last words on NASCAR before we move on?
Atlanta next weekend. What y'all think about Atlanta next weekend?
Oh, this is where we're gonna see who the real favorites are.
Exactly.
Because now we're at 1.5 miles. We're gonna see how this new package and car handles.
Yeah. So Atlanta's the perfect one to test it out. See who's really got what.
Worn out track.
I can't wait.
Good comparison.
Goodyear can't bring any good tires.
A good comparison would be, see how Kevin Harvick how he does compared to last year.
Let's see how Kevin Harvick do.
Okay. Well, let's move on to the next topic. This is where I get quiet or ask silly questions.
All right.
Topic number 4.
No question is a dumb question.
Formula 1.
Which I'm sure a lot of people will be learning this with us in the chat.
I'm going to go ahead and let Zach take over a little bit more than me because he knows a lot more about F1
than either of us.
All right, let me give my F1 background. I actually got into F1 because one of my buddies got the F1 game and we had a Xbox share. So I got the game too when he bought it. Yeah. We started playing it. I was like, this game is fun. 2012.
2012? Okay, so not
F1
too far ago.
F1 2012. And I was like, man, this is fun. So I started getting into it, playing the game more. Got into actually watching it and really started watching it 2013. Watched the end of the season. pretty crazy because it was like the V8 cars still. So I had like a big change for 2014 when I really kicked off being like a Formula One watcher, and that's the year they switched to the hybrid engines, which they are running currently right now, and I've been paying attention to it pretty closely. I gotta say I've watched more Formula One races like avidly than I had NASCAR races in the past 2 years. Even though
you just gotta stay up late for it.
You gotta wake up early and stay up late.
Yeah, stay up
to watch them. Most races like 6-7 in the morning. Gives me a reason to wake up, I guess, in the morning early on Sundays. So
I don't want to be productive. I'm just gonna watch this race because it's early.
Yeah.
But so, what are we gonna be talking about, Mr. F1 expert?
We're gonna be talking about the car reveals and our thoughts and y'all's opinions on how they look. Because it's a cool thing. This is what I like about F1 personally. Everybody has their own car. You build your car from scratch. You're not getting a car from a manufacturer. Yeah, you're getting an engine from a manufacturer, but you're not getting any aerodynamic parts. No, nothing at the Monaco. Like the only thing you can get from a manufacturer is an engine, the gearbox, and some suspension parts and like brakes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Small parts.
Basically, to simplify it, is so F1 is a non-spec sport.
Yeah, exactly.
So you can do, basically you get these dimensions.
Regulations, a reg sport.
Yeah.
Much like.
So you have to fit your car inside this box. There's certain parts on the car that you have to have, certain parts of the car that you can't touch. But all the cars don't have to be the same. Whereas in NASCAR, it's a spec sport where, NASCAR has to put this template up to it and it has to match this stupid template. And,
you just have the manufacturer as a sponsor, basically. It's nothing to do with the car.
Yeah.
Except for some body shape, I guess.
Yeah.
Design.
And you'll see with the pictures how everything is similar, but they're very different.
Yeah.
And this is why the car reveals are so big.
Yeah. So we'll go through the car reveals. After that, we're going to go through some new regulation changes. Small changes because the year before, 2017, was a huge regulation change. Like, I'm talking, they made the cars wider, tires wider, bigger. They made the cars longer, changed everything about the cars to make them more exciting and faster. Like the cars,
and they let the designers do more.
Yeah, way more aerodynamic built like stuff on the car, way more work on the car and stuff now. Really cool stuff this past year. And they went like 3-4 seconds faster, broke a lot of track records and stuff. So really cool stuff. Yeah. Lewis Hamilton and Sebastian Vettel is another topic we're going to go to because it's going to be round 2 of 2 4-time world championships, 2 legends of the sport. And then we're going to talk about maybe the possibility of some other guys who might have a fighting shot if their car is up to spec with the Mercedes and Ferrari like they were last year.
Up to reg, okay? It's not a spec sport.
Yeah, true. The biggest question for us going to the weekend, going into testing weekend, so we'll just see what the biggest questions are for y'all going into this testing weekend, what y'all want to know and stuff. So
now let's take a look at those pretty little cars.
Yeah. So as NASCAR, we're going to start with the Haas car, which was revealed first. As y'all know, Stewart Haas Racing has a NASCAR team. They also have a Formula One team, which is very in close ties to Ferrari.
Well, it is Stewart Haas is in NASCAR.
Alliance.
This is Haas, so it's not.
Does
Tony Stewart have anything in this?
No, this is all Gene Haas's, but it's still the same company. It's still the same company.
It's the same, so it's like a sub.
All under the same building. Yeah, because okay, listen,
it's in separate.
They have no what?
It's in separate. You have the Stewart Haas building, then you have like this road that goes in between the two, and then you have the. I mean, they're within walking distance.
The same like facility area. Like I thought you were saying like something different.
No.
Okay. Yeah.
They're on the same plot of land.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, they're on that, but they also have a factory in Britain, where that's where the majority of the work goes on. That's where the majority of the team's at. Really, most of the stuff in Charlotte is like they're handling like a lot of the business stuff and stuff. So, but as you can see,
I don't think you can even go inside that building. Actually,
no, you probably can't. 'Cause this is like top secret shit.
I didn't see a parking lot for me to park in.
Yeah.
Okay, so obviously Brian's been there, but moving on.
This is the Haas car. From the side view right here, we're looking at this first view. looks pretty simplistic. The biggest change you'll really see is the shark fin isn't as big as they were last year, and they have a halo now, which is the safety device we're gonna have for every car this year. You can't really notice the barge boards. We'll get into that because I have a picture where I actually changed the levels and stuff so we can see a little bit better. But this is just a side-on view. Nice little. I like the paint scheme. What do y'all think about it? Looks pretty cool. I still think it's a little bland. I think it's still a little bland in my opinion.
But I think really that's just for purposes.
Yeah, it is.
And I think, because a lot of the F1 teams with their liveries, they have the bright colors in the back.
Yeah.
Which Haas does, just on the side of the wing there. But they have the bright colors in the back, and then up front kind of tends to be, the color of what the rest of the car is. But they've kind of gone reverse here, with the wing being red and everything else being white.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of...
It looks... Okay, look, from the top down, it looks a lot better, in my opinion.
Yeah, it's all... Yeah.
So let's go into the next view. Also, you can see from here too, guys, if you don't know the blown wheel nut, you can see the hole in the wheel nut right here. Blown wheel nut pretty much channels air through the rim and out the tire to help airflow. It's pretty cool technology that a lot of teams run.
And that's all air. Yeah, that's all aerodynamic, right? That has nothing to do with brake cooling.
It actually cools the brakes too.
So it does. Okay, so
if you think about it, also helps air pressure. Think about this: you got cool air blowing in through the center of the rim. It's going to make the rim cooler, which in turn will lower the air pressure, causing the tires not to get as high as the air pressure not to rise as much because the heat creates air pressure.
Well, and it'll keep the bead from melting too.
Yeah. Well,
I assume these tires
worry about that. Yeah.
So they don't run
to the next view. We're on to the next view now. As you see, I turned the levels up. It's a crappy picture because I don't know what it is about F1 teams having low resolution pictures. Secret. But yeah, exactly. That's exactly right.
I don't want you to zoom in.
Exactly right. He doesn't want. They don't want other people coming in here and looking for the secrets.
They put all their money into aerodynamics. That's why.
The biggest things I'll notice about this car is that the side pods. If y'all notice by looking at it, you can really see it because of the levels turned down. The contour in the side pods, how it cuts under. And they also have this little winglets in front of the side pods. It actually looks like the side pods all crooked and lines. But those are actually in front of the side pod because there's two inlets. They're running a dual inlet side pod, which a lot of teams have switched to this year, which Ferrari made famous last year. No team ran it other than Ferrari last year. A lot of teams, you'll see a reoccurring theme here is through the first 5 cars that we have revealed so far, and
actually,
this car looks very similar to the Ferrari last year.
That's what I was about to say.
I don't want to call it a carbon copy because there's different and there's upgrades to it, but I like where they're going with this car. It doesn't look. If you just look at the car, in my opinion, I first glance I was like, Haas might struggle this year, but I kind of like the car the way it's looking. We'll have to see at Barcelona this weekend, of course. Actually, next Monday. That's when they start. So next week, we'll have to see how testing goes. But I'm liking the way the car looks. Any y'all got a question on how what is going on here?
It looks like a lot is going on, and
it's a lot. Okay,
yeah.
Pretty much.
Well, there's one question that I want Nick to ask.
Yeah.
And Nick, what do you think about the front wing? What do you notice there?
What's the main goal of the front wing, you think?
It's freaking huge.
What do you think his goal is, though? You think it's downforce driven?
Besides,
is it there to make a grip, or?
From when I'm looking at it, it looks like it's trying to regulate airflow in a different way.
Channel?
Ding, ding, ding.
Yeah. It's trying to channel the airflow.
If it were going for downforce, it would be a solid wing, but it looks like it almost looks like blinds on a window.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Vortex.
Yeah, so
when you think about it, it looks like the air vent for your air conditioning in your car.
Yep.
yeah.
Kind of, yeah.
But basically, so what you got is, in NASCAR, we don't have to worry about the tires messing up the airflow because we got fenders.
Yeah.
In this, we don't have any fenders. So the tires, those front tires, are going to make some really, really turbulent air when the air's going around.
Especially because they're spinning.
Especially at high speeds.
Well, yeah. So what the front wing is doing here is, all these little inlets and the verticals and the horizontals and the curves and stuff. What it's doing is sending some of the air in between the body or the nose
and the tire
and the wheel,
and
then some of it. Yeah, and then some of it to the outside. And what they're doing with the vertical things is they call them vortex generators. So they're accelerating that air and they're making it spin. And what they got
you want the air to converge.
Yeah, so you have these little vortexes that turn into big, more powerful vortexes. And what they're doing, they have the air going on the inside spinning in one direction, and you have the air going on the outside spinning in the other direction, so that the turbulent air that's coming off of the tires, they can push it and pull it at the same time away from the car. Just with the front wing.
Rocket science.
Yeah, as you can see, I'm using the pointer here, guys.
Like
you said, you're trying to channel the air around this tire back into the diffuser. This front wing will make you downforce. Like if you lost this front wing, you're losing a lot of front end downforce, guys. So you're not gonna be turning as good. But the majority of downforce you're gonna lose is to the floor of the car. As you can see with this picture, you can see the floor. It's like a wing under the car. And they really can't do a lot of editing to like the bottom of the floor because there's like really strict regulations under the bottom under here, but you're trying to channel most of it. Yeah, no, because they put a piece of wood under there to make sure nobody's running the ride heights too low, and you can't wear that out. Yeah.
Or if it rains too much, then it can float, and so it'll turn into a boat race.
Into a boat,
through.
yeah.
Oh, jeez.
But pretty much, it's all about channeling air around these tires into the diffuser of the car. The whole goal of air is making the air converge together, which is what vortexes do. They converge air, which smooths the air out. When you smooth the air out, it makes more downforce and actually creates a better stream of air. Like you're trying to make aerodynamic efficiency. That's what it's all about. So that's their goal here.
Yeah. What can you get out of 1 pound of air?
Yeah. So let's go into the next picture. As you can see, like the side pods are pretty crazy, but we go into the next picture, we can see some more details, like the barge boards that I'm using the pointer to point at. Those are pretty similar to the Ferrari barge boards they ran last year, so looking pretty similar. You can also see some slot gaps in front of the right rear tire or the left rear tire. A lot of people are doing that, slot gaps. It's a pretty common thing now. Like Brian said,
have as many as
a lot of people are converging. Yeah, a lot of teams have a lot. There's some teams who have a lot of slot gaps.
What I think, like later we'll see Sabre.
Sauber,
I think they had 7 or 8.
Yeah,
but
they have a lot.
Like here, they only have 4 or 5 or 6.
Which a lot of teams are converging on. Like it's like another thing is you can see the nose right here on the front end. If you go up the nose before the camber pod by the suspension, there's like a fin that kind of curves downwards and back. That actually is what people it's like a combination. Okay, so Ferrari runs like a different nose type of scoop like that than Mercedes did last year, but Mercedes ran one like way farther down the nose, and they called it the snow plow because it literally looked like a snow plow picking up snow. But it was just to pick up air, and they've kind of like merged the two together. They've kind of like merged it together, so they've kind of like, that's the thing you're gonna notice a lot of this. I'm talking about designs merging together. Like the big teams will find these crazy things. Little teams try to catch up by using their ideas for their philosophies.
Yeah, basically putting, because you got Mercedes and Ferrari, easily the dominant one, especially because Ferrari gets a stupid amount of money.
Yeah.
But so these smaller teams, especially Haas, with being the newest team, not getting any money from F1 or the FIA. Hardly. But so a lot of these smaller teams, they'll take things they see from Mercedes, take things they see from Ferrari, put them together and make it work for them. Which I get it, but come up with something original.
It's hard though, man. Money is the
you gotta make the money first before you can do anything.
You gotta spend money to make money.
That's why in NASCAR, you got people, buying things from the bigger teams.
Mm-hmm.
You got a small.
Oh, yeah.
Exactly.
Like Richard Petty buying motors from RCR and
Yeah. So you gotta start small, work your way up. It's the same with any situation.
Yeah. I'm on
yeah,
to the next
another.
slide.
Oh, I was just gonna say.
My bad, Brian.
No, you get it. So, Nick, you probably know this, but so F1 can update their car during the season.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. We played F1 2017. Come on, I know this.
Oh yeah, that's right. Okay, yeah. So you can, anything, because like a lot of the times, you'll see like Mercedes come out with something, and then 4 weeks later, then Ferrari has it on their car, and then 4 weeks after that, another team has it on their car, and so by the end of the season, there's one thing that only one team had that now everybody has.
Yeah.
And it happened like that with what was those things in front of the exhaust, Zach? What were they called? That went the
blown diffusers.
Yeah, blown diffusers.
That sounds.
That's what they sounded like.
That's gonna be how we start our podcast, off, guys. The rest of the time.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Two.
Yeah, it's a lot of converging in F1. Like you're from the lower teams, of course.
So now we're gonna see how the cars are different.
Yeah, like looking at the top-down view right here, the car I think from the top down looks really good. You can see a nice, as you can see how like the engine, the side pods, Nick. You notice how they curve in like that.
Yeah.
What's that look like? You think it looks like a Coke bottle? You think, like the top of a Coke bottle or something?
Or a really nice waist.
Yeah, ooh, that's true. I
like that.
God,
so you got that hourglass figure, huh?
Yeah.
Ooh.
True. That's the thing. Like they're looking for that shape of the side pod, or they're trying to channel air back. So that's a good view. Like I like how this car looks from the top down.
Yeah.
If you should take the Ferrari, there's actually pictures. I didn't put this one on here. There's a picture of the Ferrari from last year with this car like chopped in half and that in half. It's so similar. It's amazing, but
so they just.
Haas basically took the blockiness that Ferrari had and just kind of smoothed everything out, made things smaller. So I think they either can't afford a big part like that, or they're just trying to make it more compact, maybe a little bit lighter. But yeah, it's pretty much a spitting image for the most part, in my opinion.
It's pretty
with a couple minor changes, but I can't blame them.
Yeah. All right, so next we got the next car that came out was the Williams CW41, which is the Claire Williams 41. That's Dr. Frank or Sir Frank Williams' daughter who runs the team. This car, not a lot of good pictures here. We're gonna be real quiet. We're gonna be real quick about this one. Not a lot.
You can
of pictures.
already notice a lot of changes, like even the front nose part.
Yeah, it's a lot different.
But that's actually what
cool is. This car is a first year designed by Paddy Lowe. He was a designer at Mercedes who designed the 2014, 2015, and 2016 cars. So this will be his first car here, and those the cars he designed. And I think he had World Championship cars at McLaren. So this will be like his first iteration of his Williams. So it actually does have some pretty complex system, like barge boards and stuff. So and it's got the dual inlets the same, as you can see, because I'll go into the next picture. I think you can see where it's the dual cuts.
And the side pod or the engine?
Yeah, the side pod. The side pod.
Oh, so they went. I forgot they went with the dual.
Yeah, they went dual. Yeah.
I want to know where that top one goes.
You can see they got a lot of slot gaps in their floor too. A lot of detail in this car. Just bad pictures. I don't know why they take bad pictures in 2018, but I'm on the third one now. It's just the same more bad pictures, but it's a detailed car, same livery. Not much to talk about till testing, really. With Williams, you never know. So,
but you notice, Nick, you know, the front nose is very different from Stuart Haas, but they're accomplishing the same thing, just in a different way.
Yeah, similar noses though, still though, because they're still the. I like to call it the dick nose, because it's like a little dick head.
Oh my god. Okay, moving on.
Kind of looks like a little prairie dog, you know.
And
that little prairie dog.
We'll go into my favorite car so far, the Red Bull. Yeah, look at that, Nick. What do you think of that car?
That's because you're a fanboy.
No, I'm not. I'm not a Red Bull fan.
I don't know if it's the paint, but does the wing look like it has more of an angle, like on the front? I don't know. I don't know if that's just the paint.
That's different for each. That's just different. I mean, it could be. I don't know what kind of angle they got on. It changes for track.
And is that like a square on the front? Oh, what is that even? Like the vent on the front end?
Yeah, that actually is a pretty cool nose. It's my favorite nose actually in Formula One. But you can see their barge board design is really interesting. Pretty cool stuff.
But what I really like is if you haven't noticed yet, Nick, is that their side pods. It's almost like they don't have any compared to the Haas car. Yeah, I mean, the Haas car has gigantic side pods, but these guys are barely running any. And, that's where you get your engine cooling from. So...
Yeah, because if you go into the second picture, Nick, you can see how small the intake is in the side pod, and then see how really curved back it is on the second one.
Yeah.
I mean, it is a very slender car.
Yep.
So what are they going for with that? They're sacrificing engine coolings, but what are they gaining?
Aerodynamic performance.
Okay.
Yep.
Because the less the air has to move around, the quicker you're
less drag.
Oh yeah.
Because that side pod,
smaller hole taking in air, or less air taking in, more air taking in, more drag.
Because that side pod is creating drag that's not really helping you with downforce.
Oh hell no.
So the smaller you make that, yeah.
And I think I'm noticing something. Just correct me. Oh, never mind. Okay.
No,
I was looking at if you look at the head-on picture right up from the nose.
Yeah.
I believe it's the next one.
Yeah, I gotta go. Yep.
If you look right above the front tires, like on the inside, you see like those little pieces of
the winglets,
whatever they're called.
Yeah.
Actually, it's all the same.
Okay, so the top ones are catching air for the blown wheel nut.
That's what's going to cool your brakes.
Yeah, that's going to cool your brakes and go into the actual rim and outside the tire. The other winglet is down there. That's a winglet that just channels air, trying to get back to the barge boards if there's any turbulent air coming off like that brake.
No. Okay, we'll go back to the previous picture. And just look behind at what would be the left front tire. There's a little piece of body that has like the Puma sticker on it. Do you see that?
Yeah, that's a barge board.
Okay, I was just looking at.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, he's talking about back there. Yeah.
The barge board.
That's the barge board.
So let me actually go back to that next picture. So you were saying how like it sticks up right there or whatever, like.
I was just wondering. It looks different from the other cars. Like, do they all have different designs?
They all have different designs of barge boards.
Are those supposed to channel around the body?
Yeah, those help the air flow back around the floor to the rear diffuser. See, the bigger gap you can get between those barge boards and the side pod is the more air you're going to channel too. So if you notice how small their side pods are from the front on, they're going to channel a lot of air.
Just wait till we get to Saber, whatever.
Sauber.
I mean, their gap is huge.
Yeah,
that's what I'm going to call them now.
Yep.
The what?
But
what are you going to?
Saber-tooth tiger. But I mean, their gap in between their side pod and their barge board is gigantic.
Yeah.
But yeah, what the biggest thing with F1 here is you've got your front nose creating your downforce, but the main part of your downforce that you're really, really worried about is that floor. So kind of like the square part around the body, because that floor, that's where a lot of it's coming from, or a lot of your downforce and efficient aerodynamic drag is coming from. And then, the floor then leads to the rear diffuser, which is extremely important.
Yeah, it's the most important part.
So what those barge boards are doing is they're making the floor more efficient, giving the floor what it needs to do its job, and the rear diffuser as well. Everything kind of plays together.
So what are y'all's thoughts on this car? Like, I love it. I think the design of this car is beautiful, in my opinion. Like, it's an Adrian.
Don't get used to the livery.
Yeah, the livery's
what I
changed.
see,
Do you think it looks the most complex so far, I guess you could say?
It looks like it's going to be the fastest in a straight line.
Yeah.
I agree.
Usually
How many engines will go through? Quite a lot, I think.
High RPMs.
If you go into the next picture, where it's actually the Red Bull's first car on track so far this year.
Oh, you cut out there. What did you say?
Red Bull was the first car on track this year.
Oh, man, look how far off the ground they are.
Yeah, and you can actually see how the front end's lower, Nick. How you see like the floor like angles. Yeah. That's the rake in the car. Remember how I always talk about when you set up the car like rake? Yeah, that's rake.
It almost seems like NASCAR and versus F1, they're like going opposite directions. Yeah. NASCAR is trying to seal the cars more, and then these look like they're higher off the ground.
Well, that's because he's going slow and it's raining.
Yeah,
that is mostly because of that.
If you ever watch any races,
this is a recording day, like just like where they just like.
Oh, okay.
They just try to do 100 kilometers. Like, it's just try to do a mileage. Yeah, and then you take photos. Yeah.
Yeah. If you ever watch a race or like
that floor against the ground, yeah.
Yeah, they'll be sparking the thing. Yeah. You know?
So that's pretty much the Red Bull. As you can see, he tested in the wet a little bit. That was Daniel Ricciardo, the driver formula for Red Bull. Now we go to the Alfa Romeo Sauber, which. Sauber is a Swedish team. They've partnered with they've partnered with Alfa Romeo this year because Ferrari pretty much is like taking over their team because Alfa Romeo is pretty much Ferrari. So
theirs is a lot more different.
Yeah, the very different car. What's cool about this, if you notice, the nose is a lot different. Their nose. Yeah. Okay, so there's a team called. There's a Force India nose that has it's got openings actually in the nose. So this actually has like the same thing, like where the openings. Most of the teams don't put the you see how the white comes back under the nose? Of where the tip is. Most teams don't put that under. Like Williams, they have it's pretty much the same exact nose as Williams, but without the white bar coming back across. So like they've gone for a Force India mixture of Williams, like Ferrari, all the other teams, how they do their nose like that. So it's kind of cool. It's a different nose. We haven't seen one like that yet. Like Brian said, look at their side pods. Super small inlets. Super, super duper small.
Yeah, their side pods are...
By the way, this is the slowest car last year, by the way. So this is a huge step up. Huge. I'm talking like...
Their side pods are bigger than Red Bull's. Red Bull by far has the smallest side pod so far that we've seen. But Red Bull's inlet, where the air actually goes in to cool the engine, is bigger than this. This is just a small, tiny hole that
is rounded.
That hole, and actually, what you see is not actually the hole that they have to get that air.
Yeah.
The hole is actually.
We'll get another picture that you actually can show. I'll point out because you see from the front view here, you have this bottom intake. There's actually an intake above where behind the mirror, you can kind of see the black behind the mirror.
Well, that wasn't even what I was talking about.
Well, yeah,
but like the pipe that goes to the actual cooling is a lot smaller than what that hole is.
Yeah.
So by making that hole smaller, I mean you've made that target area so small.
Yeah.
It's like they better have a good wind tunnel. And then that top, that smaller hole, I mean, is that going to the radiator? Is that going to the turbocharger? Who knows where that's going?
And I went on to the second one now. You can see a lot of it's pretty complex. The barge board area is not too complex yet. It will. I guarantee you the barge boards will be a lot more complex. But what I've noticed is they're the first team to put winglets on the halo, which I expect every team to have. If you notice, the halo, Nick, on this car is different looking.
Yeah.
We'll go ahead. Let's just go ahead and go into the third one.
Yeah, go to the zoomed in picture.
Go to the fourth. Oh, no. The fifth. As you can see, guys, we're looking through the picture. There's the rear of the car. As you can see the side pods again from this rear angle. Pretty sleek designs. I'm liking the Alfa Romeo's freaking white and red, blue. Like, I'm digging that. But now we're on the last picture for it, and you can really see the halo.
The back end of the car is beautiful. Like just the livery.
The livery is really nice. They have a really interesting intake system here, guys. If you notice, like you got two splits and then another splits up top. Like that's interesting. Oh, and also how Brian, we were talking about dual intake side pods are a common theme. Here's another dual intake side pod. So you have the hole down here on the bottom, and then you can see the little hole by the Solania logo.
Yeah, so Solana.
Just Solana. Yeah.
Yeah,
Solana,
behind that side view mirror right there.
And but yeah,
and then
I like how they got the
Halo.
winglet. I got the winglet on the Halo. Yeah. That's really, really cool.
And then
stuff.
if you look really closely, you've got two vertical things right in the middle, kind of like on either side of the driver's head, which are little tiny vortex generators that we think is going to kind of help channel air into the engine intake, because before the Halo, the air would just go straight into it. Now you got the Halo, so the air is kind of coming up and potentially can go over that intake, which is no bueno.
Yeah.
So
cool. So this is a really cool looking car. I'm really expecting a lot from Sauber this year. Real cool. So we'll see how they do in testing.
But yeah, on a side note, Nick, we never really said, I don't think, but so along with these like low res pictures, so that nobody can figure out what they're doing really, another thing that teams do is that these release pictures don't show the whole story. So like these are the Sauber is the first
iteration.
The first car that we've seen that has the little winglets on the Halo, but everybody's going to be running winglets on the Halo. Like, you just have to, but nobody wants to reveal what they're going to do with that.
These cars will look completely different this weekend.
What is this?
Like they'll look the same, but they'll be like different. So let's go into Renault. The Renault, they've debuted this morning. Yeah, Renault. I used to always say Renault.
Me too.
I know European people.
I started saying Renault 2 days ago.
Throw me in the river. This is I like the livery. This is so far my favorite livery because it's like a cool design. We'll talk about that. Not much to say about this car personally, other than the livery. It's pretty simplistic, like last year's car, pretty similar. So I think we might see a lot of different stuff at Barcelona. And if we don't, I'm gonna be disappointed because
I don't think they're
a pretty big team. So, go ahead and look at the second picture. You can see 2017 Renault compared to 2018 barge. Will is pretty much the same. Side pods are different. Some different stuff, but nothing that's like, wow, they went for a complete rehaul of their car like some of the teams are doing. So interesting stuff. And you can also see the shark fin that they had last year compared to shark fins they had this year. So good.
Well, they have to change it because it's illegal now.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I'm saying. Like the difference, because we're gonna get to the new regulations. But yeah, so that car is pretty similar. But the cool thing about it, Nick, in my opinion, if you notice, if you look at it from, I think there's a front view I have. Where's the front view? Do I not have? Well, kind of. I guess I do. The first picture's a front view. If you look at the car from the front, it's all yellow. But if you look at the car from the side, it's all black, pretty much, but highlighted by yellow.
Yeah. It's a really, really cool livery design. It's one of my favorites so far.
Yeah, it's like highlighter. So it's pretty cool.
At least you know he's not gonna get hit. Somebody's gonna see him,
right?
See, that's what I do in iRacing. I make my cars green.
So that's pretty much the reveals of the cars. For this is hard to talk about because it's not racing. Racing will be easier for us to talk about. It's racing.
Yeah, I suspect a lot of drama this year.
Me too.
Whether it be political or mechanical or driver role or.
And we had some regulation changes. Nothing huge like last year. The biggest things they're bringing into the season is the Halo safety device, which you'll see on every car now. And teams now, this is an interesting thing because teams are running a real foreign solution for suspensions, to where when you turn the car, the front end would actually, the ride height of the car would drop, so the nose would drop when you turn.
The weight transfer.
The whole goal of a front wing is to keep that front wing as close to the ground. The closer to the ground, the more high pressure you can generate, and that causes more downforce. So when you're on the brake, the front wing, the nose goes down of the car. But when you get off the brake, what's the nose do? It lifts up, so you lose all that downforce when you go to turn in. So
Just
teams
when you
were
need
like
it most.
making it when you turn in, the ride height would drop with the car. So it would effectively keep the nose down. Now they're making it where your car can't drop more than 5 millimeters when you steer. So,
Jeez. Think about what 5 millimeter is.
yeah, exactly. So,
It's
and-
about, depending on the last time you trimmed your fingernails. I don't know.
Exactly.
Let's see. 5 millimeters.
5 millimeters is 0.19 of an inch.
wow, see, nothing. So your car can't really move when you're turning now.
And that's talking about a car. What are they going? What's the speeds on these cars?
They'll measure this at sitting.
Yeah, it stands still, so lock
Yeah.
to lock.
Yeah, when you
So
turn
turn
it
it all
left,
the way to the left.
turn all the way to the right. If
Oh,
nose
okay.
drops any more than 5, you're illegal. So
Yeah, compared to completely straight.
yeah,
I would assume it wouldn't be 5 millimeters.
I guarantee the teams will drop 5 millimeters.
Oh yeah, they'll be 4.999999.
So they also as you can see in the pictures here, they removed the T wing, which is the wing on the shark fin in the left picture. It's actually a wing that the wind would go down the shark fin and hit that wing, and it helped the rear diffuser by channeling the air back down.
We heard you like
to the wing.
wings, so we put a wing on your wing so you could use a wing while you're winging.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
There was wings on everything last year.
I
And
just
they took
found
advantage
it
of
was.
So there's the left compared to the right. Just a little change, really.
Yeah, I find it interesting that they figured out that you can put something on top of the car to help something on the bottom of the car.
Right.
And that's
They're smart,
crazy.
man. It's all about pressure. Now
Which I guess for aerodynamicists, that
we can
wouldn't
finally get into a good discussion. The FIA's Halo versus IndyCar's windscreen. As you can see in here, this picture, this is the Halo. The ugly Halo, in my opinion.
Oh, come on. It's not that
Next,
ugly.
we have the IndyCar's new windscreen they're coming out with. So what do you guys think about that?
Well, is IndyCar running this windscreen full-time this year? So it's like a full, like they're,
Full time, every race.
yeah, like it's, they're not testing it at all.
I think didn't they test
Yeah,
it before, and then there was a lot of
IndyCar's
controversy.
testing. IndyCar's just testing.
Okay, so they're gonna, okay. Well,
Yeah, IndyCar's just
basically,
testing.
because I watched the video, I think it was yesterday or 2 days ago, is just kind of to give you a reason, Nick, as to why F1 went with the Halo. Who was it? Sebastian Vettel?
Wasn't it Hamilton that complained about it?
No,
There was one
Hamilton
driver
praised
that
it.
Yeah, there was one driver that they F1 said, hey, could you come and test, blah blah blah. Okay, we'll put a windscreen on it.
Yeah, Vettel.
And this one
Vettel
driver
tested
said,
it.
yeah, Vettel, and he said, this thing is making me dizzy. I can't
Yeah.
see
yeah.
through it. It's making me dizzy. And then IndyCar tested it. It's a similar windscreen. It's made out of the same plexiglass
It's different.
material.
It's actually different.
It's different,
The-
but they were both made from like fighter jet stuff.
Yeah, but the IndyCar's is like thicker.
Yeah, but IndyCar drivers tested it and they said, well, this is fantastic. The only thing is that I'm getting kind of hot back here because I have no airflow.
Yeah.
And so the only thing I can think is in IndyCar, at most racetracks, you're turning left going straight. So you're only looking in kind of one direction. Whereas with an F1, you're looking both left and right, and the distortion in your vision because of that clear stuff in front of you is just distorting it enough to where when you're looking left and right, it just kind of messes with your head. That's the
but
only thing I can think of.
Wouldn't the Halo do the same thing? Because you got that pillar in the middle.
Well,
It's gonna.
okay.
That just kind of blocks your vision.
Okay, think about this. What's in the middle of your face that you never see, but you actually do see if you really look at it?
Yeah.
Your nose. That's what that pillar does. The drivers say when you look far enough down the track, the pillar actually disappears
Oh yeah,
in
of
your
course.
vision. Yeah.
Mhm.
That's your focus.
Mm-hmm.
Your eyes.
So,
So, okay.
they said it really doesn't affect.
Right.
I mean, really, you're looking at the apex, so you're looking left to right.
But
you're
when
looking
you
on
think
either
about
side.
it, what is the purpose of the Halo? What is the purpose of this windscreen? What's the purpose of the halo? Why are they on the car?
Because, well, first of all, Justin Wilson died in IndyCar from head trauma.
Because he
Felipe
got hit by
Massa has almost died in Formula 1. Got hit by a spring. Justin Wilson got hit by a nose cone.
You're just trying to keep debris off of the driver.
Yeah, your head. Your head is the most vital point.
What's the difference between the halo and the windscreen? The
But
halo
this is why
is just a bar, and it still has a sizable gap in between the car and
the halo is mostly for tires.
Yeah, tires aren't going to fit through that. Yeah.
But you said the guy got hit by a spring, right?
Yeah, but it was a big ass spring.
Yeah, I mean that spring would have to go right in the exact area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
You can still get hit by small stuff.
Dale Earnhardt had to hit the wall at the exact, angle that he did.
No, you're right.
Freak accidents happen, right? And that's why safety regulations are invented. That's why the Haas device was,
what they found the
mandated for all drivers.
Though, is that it actually can, repel debris.
Yeah, that's why that's kind of like the main reason why F1 didn't want to go with it, because there's bounces off that windscreen, it kind of shoots it up. So it can potentially go over the catch fence, and then you're injuring your customers.
Yeah, exactly. So
I understand that.
It's a situation that a lot of F1 fans I know don't want. They hate it. They like the risk involved in racing and stuff like that. Personally, I think you gotta keep drivers alive. It doesn't bother me that bad. If the drivers are okay with it, I'm okay with it. I'm not driving the car, so it's all good. I don't think it looks that bad, really. Personally, I like the windscreen more. I think it looks better.
Yeah.
But the halo, I think they do need something because, I mean, who wants to have a driver die just getting hit by a piece of debris? So, I mean, I think it's 2018 now. Safety's come far enough in almost sports where we can keep people from dying in live action sports. So,
okay.
I mean, we always have freak accidents though, so you can't stop that. But we can always plan for those next ones. So,
I think it's good. What do you guys think? Would you go with windscreen or would you go with halo?
I personally go windscreen, but that's me.
I'm going windscreen. Ryan?
It depends.
No.
I think you can make safety that could save the fan. They could keep the fans safe around the track.
I mean, yeah, I think there's something else that somebody hasn't thought of yet, or somebody doesn't want to try. There's got to be some kind of compromise in between these two. I don't really like. I mean, you're basically having a windshield with the windscreen. You have a windshield on what's supposed to be an open cockpit. I don't really like that. The halo does kind of still keep it an open cockpit.
But let me throw this in there. NASCAR drivers, they used to race open face helmets, right? They just had open face helmets. They'd come out of the car, just face completely dirty, whatever, they like that, right? They didn't want to change from it. Now you got these closed face helmets with visors on them. What I'm trying to say is, they're not going to like it. No one likes change because you're already good with what you got. Yeah. But I say they can get used to it,
Improve.
If it's better, get used to it.
Yep. I'm the same way. So good. I'm glad that you differ, Brian. That's good to have different opinions.
There's something that somebody hasn't tried yet.
Yeah, no, there'll be something else that somebody finds.
And
I think it'll just be like a pod.
Dude in the chat says, I think IndyCar needed it for sure because of the speed and frequency of the accident on ovals.
Yeah.
Windscreen is more effective and more pretty.
It's pretty.
Very true.
All right, so
you can also put stickers on it too. A sponsor.
You can do that on the Halo too, doesn't it?
Yeah.
True.
Just like they put it on the bars and the cars.
The bars and the cars.
The bars and the cars.
Going to Mars.
Well, next topic first F1. Lewis Hamilton versus Sebastian Vettel, round 2 maybe.
Looks like a quarterback line.
Put their all-time stats so we can go over them. As you can see, they're both 4-time world champions. Lewis Hamilton does have 10 more starts than Sebastian Vettel, but it's a 62-47 win count with a 72-50 in poles, which Lewis Hamilton leads most of the time in F1 history in poles. As you can see, there's their percentages for winning and their pole percentages, which is Lewis Hamilton's win percentage is 30% and Sebastian Vettel's is 24%. Very similar drivers in stature, both legends of the sport. And last year was the first time they really went head to head, I'd say, with even cars almost.
Really good, yeah.
From what I know about F1, is that usually where you start is where you finish, right?
Qualifying is very important.
Yeah.
So you look at Hamilton.
Percentage and win percentage are pretty similar in most cases.
It's a 10% more than Vettel. So 10% of the time he's going to be finishing better than Vettel. So I would say
he's 10%
Hamilton.
more likely.
Yeah, I personally feel like Lewis Hamilton is a more talented driver. Like as a driver, I think Vettel is really good on one lap. Like if you had like the same car and you had to put a pole down, I feel like Vettel, because like it might not show in poles. Lewis Hamilton has been the best car in F1 for the past 4 years. Let's take that into account, by the way. And which Sebastian Vettel was in the best car for 4 years in a row, really, but not as dominant as the cars Mercedes, probably, I'd say. But he's had some really, really good pole laps. Like he's pulled out some poles that are crazy, like way faster than everybody. So I think he's a good qualifier, maybe a little bit quicker, but Hamilton's a better racer in my opinion, talent-wise.
That was last year, though. That was last year. Now you guys are saying they all learn from each other. Yeah. Now are they going to come back with something just as good? Because do you think it's all driver talent or is it car?
F1's a lot about your car. You got to be a great driver, but your car determines everything. Your car determines like the best driver on the grid could be possibly Fernando Alonso could be the most talented driver on the grid. But he was in one of the worst cars in the grid, so he barely even scored points last year sometimes. So
take us to the next slide.
So the next slide,
2017 stats.
This is their stats compared to last year. In my opinion, the Ferrari was a better car, even though the Mercedes was a quicker car at the quicker tracks. I think the Ferrari was more well-rounded, but Mercedes definitely had some really good circuits for it. So you can see Lewis had 9 compared to Sebastian Vettel's 5 wins. The poles 11-4, which Lewis Hamilton was really on it last year qualifying. Podiums 13-13, so even. The Sebastian Vettel was more consistent with the podiums last year, I'd say. He also had a lot of trouble at the end of the season, which he led most of the season in points till the end, where Ferrari had a few issues near the end of the season trying to keep up with Mercedes and really push the limit, and they both had pretty similar fast laps. So
I just remember that one race. It was like in the rain where they all wrecked on the first lap. Right?
Yeah, Singapore. Yeah,
Ferrari.
Yep.
That's
when it all changed. That actually was the race. That was the last race of Sebastian Vettel in the championship. So.
Oh, okay.
Last night,
the best of the best.
Me and Zach watched a video as a compilation of all the wrecks that happened in F1 last season. Guess how many times Lewis Hamilton spun out?
None.
Twice.
Well, close. 3.
3 times. He spun out twice and wrecked once. Real good time.
Yeah, spun out 3 times, which only
everybody
one of
which
did he hit
multiple,
anything.
Multiple.
Let's not even talk about Haas. How many videos they were in? Actually, let's talk about it. They were in a lot of them.
Yeah.
No, the Popo.
Yeah, I live right next to a police dispatch station, whatever. Okay, dude says again, can the Red Bull and Ferrari stay somewhat competitive with Mercedes? Yes. But I think if you were to put Vettel and the Mercedes, the stats between them would be more balanced. Do you think they would be more balanced if he had the car?
I think they'd be more balanced between poles, definitely. I don't know about wins. I still think Lewis Hamilton has the better
driving skill.
I'd say like race
pace.
Race pace. Not only that, but like his racecraft. Like
what if they're both driving carbon copies of each other's car?
It's gonna be. I think whoever gets out in front of whoever is gonna win. Pretty much.
Right,
Whoever gets away from the start first, whoever has, I think it's going to win. That's because in the same car, dirty air, you're not probably going to pass.
And you'd have you basically have a Prost versus Senna situation on your hands.
Yeah, literally.
Because both of them are going to be like, he's getting better stuff than I am every time the other one wins the race. And
so those are our two main players next year, really, in F1. You got Sebastian Vettel, of course, and
I think there's going to be a team that surprises us. I think it's not going to be them two. I think it's going to be maybe 3, even 4.
Well, the title underdogs I've got written down here are Max Verstappen, in my opinion, with Red Bull Racing and Daniel Ricciardo. Max Verstappen is the youngest winner in F1 history, and last year ended really strong. Like, I'm talking like throughout the end of the season, they were one of the best cars.
I was gonna say, hopefully he's not a Trevor Bayne. He's the youngest winner, but Trevor Bayne
definitely not that. This kid's a freaking
Trevor Bayne.
This kid has got immense talent. He's a little bit too aggressive, in my opinion, but he's got immense talent. He's just young. My favorite driver in F1 is Daniel Ricciardo, so I might be a little biased, but I think he's a title underdog this year. But he has 5 career wins, and with Red Bull, I think they might make up the gap to Ferrari and Mercedes. It's the biggest thing they got to depend on.
Engines.
The biggest thing they got to depend on is Renault. If Renault can bring a reliable, fast engine, I think Red Bull will be right there with Ferrari and Mercedes. But if not, it'll be a Ferrari-Mercedes show.
Well, their engine doesn't even have to be as fast; it just needs to be reliable. I mean, I'm thinking about those small side pods.
Yeah, no, that's the thing. They definitely have good aerodynamics, but we haven't seen the Ferrari and Mercedes yet, so
that engine needs to be able to live on the sun.
Mm-hmm. The next driver I would say is also Valtteri Bottas. It'll be his second year in Mercedes. He kind of came in Mercedes last year. He came from Williams when Nico Rosberg, the champion from 2016, suddenly retired. I'd say he's a dark horse because it's his second year. He kind of got in that seat really fast, didn't know what was going to happen really, and he really needs to take the next step as a driver to compete with Hamilton. He won 3 times last year. I'll give him that, but it was really on races when Hamilton wasn't there altogether, I guess you could say. So he needs to take that next step to really compete with Hamilton, in my opinion. So if he doesn't, he'll be a good second driver to Hamilton.
Do a lot of teams do the, this is driver number 1, number 2, or do some teams do,
some do
these 2 drivers are 2 drivers, none of them are better than the other?
Yeah, some in their contract do. Imagine about contracts.
That's
what it's all about.
So with Mercedes, it is a 1-2 deal.
No, there's actually no number 1 driver. Ferrari, there is a number 1 driver. Yeah, in their deals, there's no number 1, number 2 Mercedes deal. Same thing. So Red Bull was no number 1, number 2. But I mean, technically, everybody knows who the number 1 driver is.
Yeah.
In each team. So.
Well, basically, Nick. So you've got your number 1 driver. Any new stuff that comes in, he's going to get it. And then the number 2, once they generate a second
driver.
Yeah.
And
so with equal status, you're basically saying, one driver may get this new thing first here, but the next new thing, this driver's going to get it, or they're just both going to get it at the same time.
Okay, now, dude, dropping in an opinion real quick. He says, I hope the speed gap between teams lessens this year because it's becoming hard to watch having the same 3 drivers winning 90% of the races, which I can agree with that, but
I agree completely.
You can only do so much.
Well, they've made a little tiny rule. FIA made a little tiny rule, which I think will hurt Mercedes, which is oil consumption, which I'm sure we'll get into.
Well, they already did that last year.
Oh, that was last year.
It actually affected Ferrari more than Mercedes. So they thought in that video they thought Mercedes would get affected more, but Ferrari got affected way more.
Yeah. Because basically, Nick, what they can do, they can add certain additives to their oil and allow the oil to get past the piston ring and stay in the combustion chamber to actually combust.
Yeah.
And
it's
so
more fuel, pretty much.
It's basically
more fuel, but you're not using more fuel.
Because I used to drive a Murano, RIP to that car. Never want to see it again. But that thing, you put in 5 quarts of oil, and once you go to change oil again, you have 2.5 left in it. Where's the
It was designed by Mercedes. No, but yeah, so then the FIA they already had regulations on oil consumption, which they said over the course of a race you could only 5 liters, which
now
I mean
that's like
now it's
2.5 or something. It's a half of what it was.
Well, and it's also like you can only burn a certain amount of oil over 100 kilometers or something.
Yeah, burning oil.
So they're kind of adding a distance to it as well. Yeah. So you don't have a team that's not going to burn oil for the first half of the race, and then the second half they're going to guzzle it down.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's how. Yeah.
Pretty much the obvious things I said with like the title underdogs here with Verstappen, Ricciardo, and Bottas, because they're all in pretty much winning cars. But the other underdog is Fernando Alonso, because this year, McLaren the last 3 years now have been with Honda, which has been terrible. And this year they're switching to the Renault power unit. So hopefully with Renault, with what Red Bull won last year, I'm hoping with what McLaren can do chassis-wise, they should be able to make a winning car, and I'm hoping at least Alonso can get on the podium. That's my prediction. He will get definitely a few podiums this year. I'm hoping he gets a win, but he's one of the best on the grid, so I want to see him back up there fighting, of course. So I'd like to see at least the McLaren boys up there fighting again. So I hope that happens.
All right.
And then we just got some upcoming car reveals and dates. February 22nd, which is Thursday, 2 more days, the Ferrari will launch and the Mercedes will launch. The 2 biggest cars, in my opinion. Yeah, exactly.
Unless they surprise us.
No, they do that. They could come a day early. That's the thing.
Haas came early, so.
Yeah, February 23rd, McLaren will announce theirs. And then February 26th at Barcelona, Toro Rosso, because Toro Rosso is actually like, they always like to debut their car that morning. So, like,
well, they're not even that important anyway. So,
well, I mean, they got some really good designers on their team. It's just they're gonna have the Honda engine this year, so I don't expect much. But that's February 26th, and that also is the day they start testing from the end of March 1st. They leave, then they come back on the 6th, test to the 9th, and then they go back to their facilities till the 25th. And that's the first race of the season in Melbourne, Australia.
Man, that's the same day as Martinsville.
Yeah, it is actually. And
you guys are going together.
That's pretty much the into F1 news. Brian, if you want to take her now with our last part right here, the iRacing. This is the littlest part because iRacing.
Oh yeah, because iRacing doesn't do anything, which we'll get into actually.
Lol.
So the first thing I kind of wanted to cover is iRacing's newest version of their tire model, because it is different. I've heard people have mixed feelings about it, very strong feelings about it, whether good or bad. And I know we've talked about it, amongst ourselves, but I feel like this would be a good intro to our discussion of iRacing on here. What do you guys think of the tire model? Is it good? Is it bad? Is it accurate?
It could be a lot damn better.
What is it?
I don't know if it's accurate, but
I don't know if it's accurate because I never drove a race car.
A lot of the fast guys are, complaining, like the fast guys I know. Zach, Brian.
I like it.
You like it? Okay.
I like it.
I know Brian doesn't like it. I just noticed that there's a lot more sliding on that left front.
I like it. I like being more sliding around, so that's cool with me. But I know the tire model is not right, so I'm not going to agree with the tire model. Because I've drove other cars on. Okay, so a set of course that has different tire models for each car on this game, and I've drove cars that they've done the tire model right on, in my opinion. And I wish iRacing could personally get one of those tires, because I feel like iRacing you can't feel a sidewall that well on your tire, so like.
No, you can't tell how springy it is.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like the tires give as much as they should. They feel a little too hard, in my opinion. So, but I mean that's still change with each car you drive. So I can't comment much on the tire model. I don't know much about that stuff. I think a lot of people don't know about it. I think we can just sit here and bullshit and say what we think, but we don't know.
Well, again,
really
I think it always goes back to iRacing updates the builds. They update these tire models, and they either don't update the fixed setups, or they say they updated the fixed setups and they're terrible. You know, the fixed they got to do everything at once.
They're not meant to be fast. They're meant to be stable.
Yeah.
Well, right now they're neither.
Well, yeah.
I like my.
I mean, especially in the trucks.
And a goose.
What about the slowing down of the cars?
I love
specifically in the cups. Yeah,
I love it.
Yeah, I like it. I think it's really good because the old tires, they would just keep on trucking, and if you weren't fast, you just weren't fast. Now,
if you save tires, it actually pays
exactly.
off.
If you save tires, you do have a chance to get past faster guys than you. Just as far as skill goes.
Faster than us bunny rabbits. They just go hard at first and then die in the end.
The other strange thing, I was enlightened at some point about what you can. I have to be careful how I word this. I was enlightened by a communication that I received that basically said that what you can do to get by.
Oh, jeez. Exploitation.
Sorry. That sound.
That was Jeff Gordon, guys.
So what you can do to get by this terrible, the tire just plummeting. What you can do is manipulate the car in a certain way that, if in real life the tire would last 4 laps, but for some reason you can get a lot of grip by doing these unconventional things, which is why I say, tire model's not accurate at all. But yeah, such as having, you have, the front end of the car a lot much higher than it should be, but dynamically, the way you have certain alignment measurements, it works.
Yeah.
So where do you get it out there, Brian?
Well, I had to be careful about it because it's a secret.
Okay.
But it needs to be said.
Let's talk about what they got in the works right now.
So things that work. Some of the older stuff that's kind of been, I'm looking at this on the forum list, iRacing pinned forums and announcements. These things are in development, updated February 6, 2018. So it is a bit old. But some of the things in the works right now, I'll start with kind of the older stuff that has been on this list for a while. They're supposedly adding a short course off-road trucks series. So I guess like stadium trucks.
Oh, dude, yes.
Which, with the implementation of Rallycross is, I think, very doable. You just got to get the right models in.
I just think they need to focus on other things before adding stuff.
That's the top. We'll get to that. We'll get to that. So added an unspecified Subaru Rallycross car, which I know I saw coming.
Oh yeah.
So I'm pretty sure a lot of Rallycross fans saw coming.
Subaru is a big part of Rallycross.
Yeah, huge. Added unspecified Rallycross config and Rallycross track in Europe, which I'm sure a lot of the Europeans are happy about.
day and night, not for Daytona 24, maybe Le Mans. No promises.
Yeah, they're saying no promises. Added, so they're working on Camaro ZL1 Cup, which they've said, it's somewhere else in this thread, that they say it's really going to be hard for them to get it out in February, which is very, 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 very disappointing.
What is
Boo.
They'll get it in for the.
Well, yeah. Well,
I just shedded a tear.
Do you guys remember when they released the new Toyota last year? Was it before the NASCAR season started?
I have no idea. I don't drive Toyotas. I'm never really associated.
Well, if it was, then they've let all of us Chevy fans down, and they need to do a better job.
They're biased, Brian.
It might be Chevy's fault, though.
Okay,
it could be, yeah. And then added an unspecified GTE car. I have no idea what that could be.
Yeah,
no idea.
So in the list of the LMGTE cars IRL, what do you got? Hold on, let me find these list of cars. You got the Aston Martin Vantage. You got the BMW M3, the Z4, the M6, the M8, Chevy Corvette. Those two. You got a Ferrari. You got 3 Ferraris. Okay, then you got the Ford GT, a Jaguar, Lamborghini Gallardo. You think Lamborghini's coming in?
No, there's no way.
But I think it'll be Corvette.
Lotus. We got Porsche. What about the Viper?
Nah, I think we need a new Corvette.
Yeah, I think it could
nobody
be.
really likes the Corvette.
Yeah, it could be a new Corvette, or it could be what was the one you said before the Porsche?
I already
whatever you said before the Porsche. Yeah, something that wasn't the Lamborghini. I think Lamborghini standards would be way too high for iRacing. Yeah. Just because, I mean, it took so long for Ferrari to approve what iRacing did. And, I mean, you know that Lamborghini is going to have just as much of an expectation, or higher, probably higher. But, yeah, it'll be interesting to know when they release what GTE car they are working on. Even though I'm not a huge fan of GTE cars.
No, I'm more of the GT3.
Yeah, GT3 is kind of, and I wish they would really kind of, you know, as far as adding stuff. Like, I know they want to add things for their new rallycross stuff, for their new dirt stuff, because it is new and there's not a whole lot there. But
see, and that's what Dude brings up in the chat. He's, you know, just flying off the handle right here. Says taking time to add content makes companies more money than using that time to improve the old content. It's the fatal flaw and sellout point of all today's video games. Yeah, which I do agree with.
It's the whole DLC
nobody wants
frame
to get
of mind. Which is what iRacing is practically built off of. You have to buy every track, you have to buy every car, it's all DLC.
Yep.
But I mean, there are many, you know, registration, copyrights, you know, all of this. So kind of the more recent stuff that they added on February 6th that they said is working on. I'm gonna ignore the first one because that's kind of like a good segue into what I want to go into next. They say the 2 LMP1s, the Audi LMP1 and the Porsche LMP1, are looking good for the March build. So that's gonna be very, 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 very exciting.
Yeah.
I can't wait to like see my mirror like on a screen that's not the virtual mirror.
Right.
And just be like in the center of a car, and it's gonna be so fast. It's gonna be so fast.
I can't wait to build a setup. Yippee!
And yeah, I feel like it's gonna be very frustrating, but very fun and rewarding. Yeah, especially for Le Mans. Like, Le Mans is going to be a lot of fun doing that one.
We going forward.
Yeah, Category 5 is going to win that one.
Cat 5 for the win.
Yeah. So, working on AI could be released this year. Is AI even important for iRacing? Is it necessary?
Not for me.
I think it's just to generate racing numbers, because you got all these official races with, like, you know, 5 people signing up.
Yeah.
They still want to race, so you got to put someone out there.
Mm-hmm.
And would those be considered official races?
No.
Do you think? You don't think so? Well, then what's the
No,
point?
because
Well, I mean,
see,
it's almost
that's what
fun.
I was. That's what I was thinking, dude. I would love to see a GTR in there, Nissan GTR.
Oh, that would be sick.
They're good at Bathurst.
Oh
Yeah.
my god, I would love one of those. This is my favorite dream car.
So, yeah, I like the wording here. So, working on AI could be released this year.
Yeah.
Day to night cycles should be released this year.
Good.
It's almost like somebody's throwing somebody
As
under
an
the bus.
avid endurance racer, I freaking need.
You should have had it 2 days ago. Or 2 years ago.
Yeah, but I understand. They want it right. They want the dynamic track.
Yeah.
'Cause they got dynamic track. That shit was new a couple years ago, and they want it all to work together. I want it right, so I'm cool.
But interesting,
but I
all the
want it.
videos I've seen about it only
Look
goes
awful.
from morning to mid-afternoon.
Yeah.
They never show
The
mid-afternoon
night
back
to
in the day.
day. Yeah.
Yeah, it's always night to day, not day to night. So it's like they've gotten halfway through the process, now they have to get the other half.
They'll get
And
it. It should be cool.
do you think it's their engine that they're having trouble with, just the way it's designed? Is that why it's taking so long?
I think it's the way temperature affects the track and the way they want temperature to decrease and increase in nighttime, weather-wise. I think that's their biggest conundrum. I don't think it's hard for them to be, okay, it's going to change the light. It's going to change from night to day out here. I don't think that's a huge deal for them.
Well, yeah, that's not a big deal. But I mean, the big deal is the
it's
dynamics of it.
Yeah, the dynamicness of it. So, like, yeah.
But do you think their engine is holding them back?
I think they're new. I think they're new to a lot of this dynamic shit. Like, I mean, if you think about it, we didn't get a dynamic track till like 2 years ago.
Yeah, something like that, yeah.
So, like, we weren't even laying rubber on tracks then. Like, now we're laying rubber on tracks. Tracks changing a little bit. Still, it doesn't do enough.
When
that it
they
needs to.
updated that, what, like 8 months ago?
Exactly. It's still something in development.
Because it was pretty bad, and then now it got really good. I really like the way rubber is laid on the track now.
Yeah, it's getting better. It's getting a lot better.
Okay. So,
Yeah,
what's
Day to
up
Night
next?
should be released this year. New tire model version number 7 is being tested locally, which sounds like it should be in the new March build. So luckily we don't have to get. It sounds like we don't have to get used to this new tire model that just falls off a cliff and jumps into a lake, and you never see about it or hear about it again. I was gonna make a joke there, but I'm not. Shooting for a 2018 release of Damage Model. So their new Damage Model with debris and possibly even maybe blown tires.
Tires and stuff.
Sometime this year. It'll probably be December 31st, but it would be in 2018.
Nice.
So this is, I believe I've seen this confirmed for the March build.
You forgot something.
Well, no, I saved that for last.
Oh, okay, my bad.
Yeah. So something that they've that I believe I've seen confirmed for the March build is that they're adding the Chili Bowl and the Limaland Motorsports Park, the dirt ovals. Chili Bowl, I'm really excited because they added the dirt midgets.
Yep.
And dirt midgets
awesome.
do their best.
The dirty
at Chili Bowl.
shorties.
Yeah, the dirty shorties.
Yeah,
sorry. Dirty shorties.
Hashtag dirty shorties.
Hashtag dirty shorties.
And then the last one, which kind of brings into, I've kind of already touched on it with the day-night cycle thing because they've been talking about that for a year. But the last thing that is going to be in this March build is the redone, repaved, brand new Pocono track. New version will be free for pre-owners, old version free for everyone. Now, I emphasize new because it's not new anymore. This is old news.
They scanned it like 2014.
No, I saw it earlier. I looked up. They announced plans for. They announced plans for the repave of Pocono in I think it was October 2012, and then they had testing on the new surface in I think it was like May 2013. No, it's April 24th and 25th of 2013. So you're talking about this new track. This Pocono track has been repaved for 5 years. Now I've heard from multiple people that they had this track scanned after 2 years. Why is it taking them 2.5, 3 years to do this? I mean, how long?
Like dude said, they're focused on bringing in new content versus updating old stuff.
Yep.
All right, but now, I mean, Pocono's halfway to its next repave.
Well,
and if it takes Pocono this long, and I was thinking about this earlier actually.
Texas, Kentucky.
So we have exactly if Pocono's taking this long, you have Texas and Kentucky, and I was thinking about Texas because
Michigan.
Oh yeah, Michigan too. But I was thinking about Texas, and the one thing I thought about was that, you know, we have this new Texas and these new aero rules in NASCAR. We have these new
low
builds.
Downforce,
yeah, the low downforce stuff in NASCAR for the new Texas. Meanwhile, iRacing is running the new aero on the old Texas.
Yeah. Which
NASCAR didn't even do.
Yeah.
So how can they get these setups accurate at all? With them running a current setup on an outdated track. I don't know. I can't. I don't know. Which comes into, you know, why do you think it takes so long to upgrade tracks, cars, and tire models? Are they not working on the wrong things? Is this outdated engine that they made a long time ago giving them trouble? Are they short-handed? Are they lazy? Or, you know, what is it?
I think they're pushing stuff to the side, like that's the small stuff to the side, trying to work on bigger stuff. When they need another team that works on the small stuff. They need to have a team that works on new content and a team that updates content.
That's how you get the series like the Radicals, you know. What are the other cars? They're forgotten cars.
Dead cars.
Ford specs.
Series that are dead.
Yeah. Instead of just offering $25 for running 13 races. So that's that. So you just new content, all of this old stuff that needs to be updated, they don't care about. So this is something that we kind of talked about the other night, but I think is quite interesting. Is who is more courteous in the iRacing community? Is it, you know, road racers, oval racers, dirt road racers, or dirt oval racers?
My answer is easy. No. My answer is easy. Road.
Road.
Yeah, I would say
way
road.
Easier. I've ran into some bad people on road, but I've also ran into some cool people on road. I've ran cool people on oval, but oval, I ain't gonna lie, I love oval, and that's what I mostly do when I race. And not lately, but mostly. That's most of my career is based stuff. It's the most whining group of people that I've ever met in my life.
Yeah, there's a lot of trash.
I have to mute my stuff a lot for oval.
For a specific person, right?
Yes.
Okay.
You know who you are.
Yeah, so I'd say road also. They're more likely to help you on road.
Yep.
Yeah, definitely. I've noticed, and I don't know if it's just because of the more European population on road, and maybe, you know, it's just the road drivers are more polite because they're not American. I don't know.
Pretty much.
But yeah, on road, you know, people apologize. They don't.
Yeah.
You know, I think I've only had 2 or 3 times where I've heard somebody directed at me, but just somebody just completely lose.
Yeah.
You know, they don't block as aggressively. Even though that on road, I think blocking is more important than it is on oval.
Yeah.
I hadn't run many dirt road. On dirt oval, to me, it's kind of hard to tell if they're being courteous or
you
not.
Don't want
because people
can't control the car.
Speed.
Yeah. And then so we all kind of agree that road iRacing drivers are.
Yeah.
God, this show is gonna be terrible. We all have the same opinion.
I know, right?
Nah, but I think that's a lot of people though. So
yeah.
That's
okay. So we all.
And so speaking of road,
our next event, Category 5, we're announcing it right now. We'll have running 2 teams again for 12 hours of Sebring in the C7 Daytona prototype.
2 teams of the Daytona prototype, so we're not going to run any Mercedes.
Unless
sorry,
Brian. We're not going to be burning any oil.
I don't want to burn no oil. Sorry.
All right. Yeah.
I want to get crashed. But the bumps.
Yeah. And then
so 12 hours of bumpy roads.
Yeah, 12 hours of bumps.
The 12 hours of Sebring, and then I think after that is Nürburgring.
No.
Oh, it's not.
Oh no, I'm saying like that's a no track for me.
Oh, yeah, I think like in a month. So like, we got Sebring. Then a month after that,
GT car, no?
Is Nürburgring, and then we don't have anything until the Indy 500. There's like a 2-month gap of iRacing special events.
Well, guess what? That's where preparation begins for 24 hours of Le Mans.
Yeah, because hopefully all the LMP1 bugs
will be out by then.
And
all of a sudden they figured out.
They might have the day and night cycle by then too, is what they said.
And we'll be able to work on dynamics of that because that's going to use a lot of testing too. We got to make the car work both at night and day. So a lot of big things coming for Category 5 guys. Keep that on the horizon here at Halford and Son.
Nürburgring King, nice.
Nürburgring King, I like it.
I like Burger King. Let's get it.
Okay.
Except you can't have it your way.
Well, that's the end of our slideshow. You guys got anything else?
Y'all can have it your way.
Zach is a dirty shorty.
Yeah, hashtag Zach is a dirty shorty. Newest hashtag going
dirty shorty. That first episode.
All right, well, that's the first episode. I hope you guys all enjoyed it. Tell your friends, tell your parents, tell your uncles. I don't know.
And your aunts.
We'll be back next Tuesday, same time.
Won't be as long. The reveal stuff took a long time. Sorry, guys. It'll get more about racing next week's. So we went crazy this week for the first one we didn't know. So
and we'll have testing and talk about too next week. So
yep.
Which probably means we can probably just kind of put the car reveals into that. We don't have to go into
exactly. We'll just go pictures.
So. So I mean, good grief, this went 2.5 hours. Yeah, that was.
All right. Well, that's it.
Everybody have a beautiful night and stay classy.